see the light inside you, brighter than the skies. Hold on, just let us escape.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the action of the World Championship Round 2, and it's the big one, it's the one that everyone has been waiting for. It is Ronnie O'Sullivan up against John Higgins in the battle for a place into the quarter-final stage. So this one is the match that usually cannot and does not disappoint. 6 times those two have played each other at the Crucible, 3 times it was Ronnie to win it, and the last appearance, of course, was in the semi-final of the 2022 World Championship. And there's a really good stat about it, is that apart from 1996, pretty much every single time Higgins and O'Sullivan meet each other, the one who wins goes on to win the entire tournament. That's what happened in 2007, that's what happened in 2011, and that's, of course, what happened in 2022 as well. So it's going to be interesting. And, of course, this match is not going to be won in the first session. As we've seen with Ronnie before, the matches, when he doesn't play well, sometimes it can be just 2 sessions where you need, and then it's going to be very much over and done with. But still, I feel like there's going to be plenty of action in between the two players. And, of course, we're going to have Barry Hawkins against Mark Williams on the other table, which, by the way, I mean, a little bit surprising to me that Hawkins finds himself in a position only being 3 frames away from the place in the quarterfinals, and Mark Williams really does seem like he's struggling. You know, it was 4-all after the first session, and now, after losing the second session 6 frames to 2, and pretty fortunate to win the 2 frames that he's had, Williams. By the way, that clearance from Hawkins on that pink as well to the black, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you're missing out on big time, because that was a fantastic bit of clearance from Hawkins. Yes, he was a little bit reckless from Williams at that stage. You know, he went for a red into the middle after being like 60 points clear or something like that, with horrible position of the reds. But when he went for that red into the left middle, he sort of freed up 3 or 4 reds at the same time. He's missed it, and then Hawkins just turned up to the scene, and he was absolutely unstoppable at that stage. So yeah, certainly going to be looking forward to see on which one of the players will qualify. But ultimately, it will be down to John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan stealing the show. We've got the class of 92 all playing alongside each other. And of course, we are guaranteed to lose one of them. Are we going to see 2 of them to exit the first round? That's what seems like it's happening, with Hawkins being only 3 frames from glory, and then Williams needing to find 7 more for him to be very much the winner of that encounter. Once again, when it comes to O'Sullivan and Higgins, you talk about the first round, different but similar. I would say Higgins had a really good start against Carter, although Carter wasn't playing well himself. You know, had a 4-0 lead against him, somehow got that to be 5-4 of a disadvantage, so lost 5 frames on the bounce at that stage. And then Ronnie was he had 2 sections in the match. First when he won 5 frames in a row, then he lost 2 on the bounce to Shego John, and then he managed to win another 5. So 10-2, very confident win. But of course, the first round, it's always nice for you to get that match out of the way. But to be fair, as soon as we knew the draw, this was the match that we were waiting for. We can see right now that Zhao is still trying to keep it very comfortable for himself against very much the opposition of, Ding Zhuyi, although Ding is trying to stay with him, as it's now going to be 9-7 in favour of the world champion. So now we're about to see the 4-time world champion and the winner of, what's it now? Well, I'll put myself on the spot now. 1998, 2007, 2009 and 2011 as well. So these should be the years where Higgins has won it. So it's not bad for John, but it certainly has been a while since we've seen him at the top of the Crucible. And of course, he's made that incredible final appearance in 2018 and 19 to Judd Trump and Mark Williams that he's lost those 2 respective matches of. So he's going to try and come back stronger and make sure that he's still going to be one of the players to remember for the entirety of, the remainder of the Crucible as well. But for now, it certainly seems like just waiting for the players to come onto the arena, and then the action is going to begin. Williams needs to win 7 out of the remaining 9 frames, which is possible for him, but it's very difficult. And then, of course, Higgins and O'Sullivan just want to make sure they get themselves through, a couple of nervy frames to start the match. And then it will all be down to just seeing on which one of them is going to be able to win this first frame, then the second and the third. And then we should be able to see the way Higgins plays, the way O'Sullivan plays, if it's going to be anything different from what we've seen in the first round, if it's going to be something that we're not used to, or it's just going to be a great clash of titans where one of them will inevitably come out on top. So, yeah, as I say, just down to the last couple of minutes, and then we will see the action to unfold. Personal prediction, as I say, 5-3 for Ronnie, but simply because, as I say, to me, we haven't really seen too many of those situations where, sort of Ronnie finds himself as he now makes himself onto the arena. It's going to be really interesting to see the way that he starts off, but ultimately the referee is going to be Marcel Edgar, the referee that has actually officiated the penultimate match in between those two. They haven't played this season at all. They've only played at the middle point of the previous season as well. And remember, they've played at the tournaments which no longer exist. It was only announced today that the Saudi are going to be shutting their snooker down for now. So all the academies, all the stuff at the World Championship of, the snooker masters in Saudi, the Riyadh Championship, the World Pool Championship, everything like that is going to be put to a nil. And, good luck if you're Judd Trump and you come back to the first part of that season. Wilson lost 470,000 worth of ranking points that he wasn't able to defend. Trump will lose 500,000 guaranteed after his return to next season as well. So, yeah, it's not nice for Trump, but ultimately he will be down to try and find his points somewhere else. As still, I don't know why. I've got a little bit of a problem here trying to get the stream up and ready. So let me know if you do have the same issue. But it seems like I've got the match of Hawkins against Williamson, which is quite weird. But yeah, Higgins and O'Sullivan are still seemingly, just trying to get up the match with blank screen, which is fantastic. I mean, for once, it was actually beforehand, it was down to the internet connection. And now I can see the match of Williams. Okay, we're going to have to switch over to plan B. Sorry about that. I can see that Ronnie's now at the table, but can't see anything else apart from that. So we'll have to go on to option B. And hopefully that will actually work as well. So, yeah. By the way, if you are watching it, the match in the chat, let me know if you do have the same issue, or is it just me? And it may still be down to the same old issue of internet. For now, we're going to have to go on to the TNT streaming. Well, for now, I just want to try and reboot the thing of the impact the stream too much, by the way. But once again, it seems like, something that we have been seeing beforehand with WSD, where it just doesn't really allow you to be doing anything positive out there. So apologies for that. So hard to choose between them two. Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, you feel like whoever gets the first start really well for themselves, I feel like it's going to be really down to them. Try and make sure they're going to be very much the people to catch. And yeah, let me just have a look at this one. So it's asking for verification. Sorry about that once again. It's a little bit of a weird one where it just keeps happening for no reason at all. And yeah. Seems like it's not working either, which is fantastic. Probably going to have to shoot off and reboot the system to try and see what's actually going on there, because it's not too nice. As I say, it's very disappointing that you can see the match of Hawkins, but you can't see the Higgins against, what's his name, Ronnie O'Sullivan. So I might have to just put that on the TV, which won't be to you. And once again, I'll be back to you shortly. There we go, that was quicker than expected, so now it should be underway. Ronnie O'Sullivan is in with a chance there. Don't ask me how he got there, but now he's on a break of 7 points. And let me just try and make sure that my TNT coverage is going to be on full screen as well. Because, listen, I feel like the first couple of chances will be very important to see on how many points are going to be scored there. But ultimately, the way that Ronnie tries to play the game, sometimes he tries to force himself to be with that very specific rhythm, and then sometimes he can play a bit of a bad joke with him, but ultimately, hopefully he's just going to try and get himself through to some nice speed straight away. He's got the pink and the black to be all compromised by one another, so that's not really going to help his chances, as he now tries to get through to the blue, compromises himself on the exit slightly, and yeah, going to try and just breach over those couple of reds to make sure that he still takes the blue away into the green pocket. It didn't try to force that one, which was a really nice sign, and it just allowed him to focus on making sure that that pot is actually going to disappear into the green pocket out there. So it's a good shot there by Ronnie, and now just making sure that he's going to try and work his way through slowly but steadily here. So then all the issues should be fixed, and hopefully it's only going to get better from this stage, because for now the queuing seems like it's actually not working out too badly for Ronnie, because he had a couple of difficult shots and so far he's managed to deal with all of them, because don't want to be the one jinxing the show here. But yeah, the position is really difficult, to be fair, from Ronnie's point of view. He's got the blue, he's got the brown, green and yellow, but apart from that he doesn't really get any, you know, more colours to be involved, and he's just overplayed for the red to be taken into the corner. He's still alright on it, and he's got a bit of the angle to try and take the white towards the lineup for the blue. But to me, still seems like he's going to have a bit of a problem to try and get that cue ball through the left side cushion, and just carefully taking that red away. Yeah, he clearly wasn't interested in trying to hold the cue ball for the blue, so just making sure he's still going to be on the chance to be taking the green now, and make sure that cue ball is going to bounce nicely through the left side cushion and get himself through the shot into the right corner, as he now gets himself through the lead of 20 points right now. So just having a look with the situation of reds, he may be able to do that without a cushion, because he has got a little bit of the angle here to try and just take the cue ball to a natural position. Probably for the red into the middle is going to be the easiest thing to do. He's never, you know, a great fan of taking those shots on, but just needs to try. And, well, he's got two options once again. He can try and power that cue ball through the left side cushion after taking the red into the right corner, but surely the easiest thing to do is just try and carefully roll this red into the left middle. You know, it wasn't really sort of too keen on taking that shot on, but in the end, no problem. Top side of a blue, 24 points ahead. And now looking to make sure that he's going to be the player trying to set the pace to the starting point of this match. Now, once again, he's got, you know, the black or the pink would have been making this life so much easier for Ronnie. But right now, he may just have to try to disrupt the two of them. You know, once again, he has got a chance to try and play for the blue. But this time, I'm not actually going to be the advocate of it, because, you know, the red is nowhere near as close to the pocket as he was. So he's clearly going to try and make contact to the pink and the black. And he could not have done any better on that particular shot. Fantastic little bit of queuing. And once again, gets that cue ball to be perfectly lined up for the pink. But I have got a feeling that he'll try and take the black, simply for it being with a little bit too much of the angle. And also just allowing him to try and take that cue ball slightly higher. Oh, he doesn't want it to take it too high. I mean, he's having a look to see where the black is going to go. He's going to go onto the yellow spot. 37 points right now is the advantage for Ronnie. But of course, he needs to be careful right now. He sort of enters the zone where, you know, he needs to make sure those spots are going to be accurate. Otherwise, you know, Higgins might actually fancy his chances of trying to clear up the table here. 38 points is the gap. And now, Ronnie clearly just needs to get to around 70. And then we will certainly have plenty of things to analyse. Tournament total points, 2005. Of course, it was very surprising not to see him score more 1,000 in the first round, despite playing 12 frames. But of course, that was down to only losing 2 of those frames to Shego John. And now 45 points is the advantage as he takes another couple of reds to be freed up towards the right side cushion. So now just carefully plants that pink to be heading towards the left corner, and fancies himself to go for the first 50-plus break of the entire match. And 51 points ahead So just carefully trying to play that cue ball towards the right side cushion. He has underplayed for that pink, but that was always going to be the risk of the situation that he had found himself with previously. So still cued that one really nicely from the bottom of the cue ball and manages to re-establish himself nicely on those reds. Higgins can't do anything about it for now, but he'll fancy his chances to try and come back stronger to the table. 58 points right now is the lead. So Ronnie needs one more colour and a red, and then he should be clear of any danger in relation to the scoreline. Especially with, well, to be fair, you can't really say especially with the black being out of position, because of course, if O'Sullivan was to pot the pink right now, which he has done, and then miss a red, he would be 65 points clear, and Higgins would still fancy his chances to try and take over the lead of the frame. Ronnie, meanwhile, is going to try and go for the easiest red possible, just not even because of this frame ball, but also because of having the great ability to try and play for the pink. And this has been an absolutely stunning break of Ronnie O'Sullivan, and you couldn't match, well, with any better of a performance there from Ronnie. 72 points clear right now, and it doesn't get any better than that. I didn't want to jinx it, which is why I didn't answer to Rapture. Tell me the last match where we haven't seen Ronnie O'Sullivan to win the first frame. It's going to struggle with that one because it's not going to be before March. I'm pretty sure it's not even going to be in February, you know. Is it going to be in German Masters, World Grand Prix? Something like that, because he certainly didn't lose. He won every single one of those opening frames in the World Open. Of course, every single match against Ross Muir, against, I'm struggling now, Chipchaya, against Wuyiza, against Ryan Day, against Sean Murphy, against Ishbin Sichai. He didn't play, obviously. Against Matthew Selt, he's won every single one of those opening frames in there. So yes, the overall status with sort of this season has been that it doesn't start well. But when you talk about the stats and when you talk about what he's done beforehand, a little bit unfortunate that he's not going to make a century out of it. But in the end, it's still a fantastic break of 86 points, which gets him through to the first frame to be on the board there. Higgins will play amazingly in this match and then go out in the next round. Explorer rated, you could say that, but ultimately I feel like it will be down to the good old curse of, you know, whoever wins this match, especially for it to come in the second round or in the quarters in the first to 13 match, always seems to do really, really well in the tournament. Think about the final where Higgins managed to beat Selby. Think about the final where Higgins managed to defeat Maguire. And then, of course, thinking about the final where Higgins managed to defeat Ken Doherty, I'm pretty sure he was, in 1998. O'Sullivan himself has got a great record of 2022 where he managed to beat Higgins in the semi-finals before that great win over Judd Trump to win his 7th world title. Where's the watch live? I'm from Pakistan. It is going to be in the way that I'm watching it now on the WST app and play. So if you get yourself a pass, and I'm pretty sure it should be allowed pretty much in every single part of the Asia, apart from China and Hong Kong. So, yeah, you should be able to do that from Pakistan as well. Go Ronnie, absolutely can't complain about that one. And, yeah, the goat is certainly up to the quick pace. And he seems like he's enjoying himself right now as he gets himself a frame on the board. Perfect, thanks for letting me know. Absolutely no problem. As I say, you can see that I'm in a great mood, and it was always going to be down to, I'm not saying that this match is won already just because Ronnie managed to win the first frame, but it was super important to have one of those frames where you've got Higgins to be kept in his seat throughout the entirety of the frame, and now he gets himself, well, to hit pretty much his first shot that I've certainly seen. Of course, you know, having that problem with the streaming at the start of it. And, well, at the point where we've seen it, Ronnie had a break of 7 points, and he didn't really allow Higgins to be back in the frame at that stage, making a break of 86 points and making sure it was the quickest frame that you can possibly imagine. 10 minutes in, and it's already 1-0 in favour of Ronnie O'Sullivan, as Williams is still trying to get himself through the battle with Hawkins and make sure that he at least gets a couple of frames closer. As Ronnie plays the first shot of the second frame, and it's certainly not as good as it was in the first one. You know, caught the green from very much an awkward angle. He's going to leave a chance here for Higgins to try and go for the long red into the corner. Because one thing I have certainly forgot about is that they're supposed to have Triple Crown sets next to their names, but we'll sort it out for the second session. For now, it's a long red to be taken into the left corner. Let's see if he can try and cue this one well. Is he going to be just trying to leave that cue ball on for the blue? Oh, that's what he's done. Brilliant shot there by Higgins. And are we going to see every single one of those frames to be an absolute classic? Because I'll tell you what, even though I'm absolutely Team Ronnie, it's still going to be great for that to be seen. The guy with the collar is not here, which usually is a bad sign for the match, but ultimately it is going to be Ronnie O'Sullivan that took such a good first frame, and now Higgins with a fantastic long shot, trying to get himself through with another chance. Respectively, Ronnie's position was compromised massively with the pink and the black not being available. I still have got no clue how he managed to survive until 40 points before eventually... Oh, that's a bad shot from Higgins though. Don't know what happened there. He still might be on the red into the corner, but that's and he certainly overplayed that shot with too much power on the cue ball. And whether he got himself trigger happy with the cue power or not, but he should be able to go for that raid closest to the black. He goes past into the corner, but the queuing and controlling the white is not going to be easy, especially if you touch the other reds. And it seems like the cue ball is going to go all the way, nearly drop into the yellow pocket. But in the end, good luck trying to continue the frame from here in relation to continuing the break. Yeah, I mean, the camera work is not brilliant, by the way, but it seems like the cue ball caught the jaw of the middle pocket after catching the second red as well. So, well, yeah, Higgins should clearly just realise where the most dangerous placement of the white is going to be. Try and play and get the green to be away from the danger. Just make sure that he will be down to Ronnie not to be seeing a long red, which I'm actually not sure Higgins has done there. Certainly was the thing that he had to do, but I'm not sure. I feel like Ronnie can actually get through to this one. Yes, he's going to have a pretty much impossible mission of trying to stick the cue ball for the black. Oh, he's going to try and go for another red. That is horrible shot there from Higgins. The fact that he's allowed Ronnie to be heading for that. He's played the safety out of it, but still, that clearly was only down to the black not being available. Higgins still should have done a little bit better there. As much as he had a bit of a big area to try and cover with those two reds, at the end point, still needs to be doing, needs to try and stay on top of his game, because as much as this is the clash of absolute titans, and the last thing that I want to do is underestimate John, but he does seem like a bit of an underdog story here, as he plays a fantastic shot there in behind the green. May have to be the last time where I mentioned it's the underdog story for him, but yeah, on a serious point of view, he has been struggling a little bit at the Tour Championship. Yes, he had an absolute classic against Selby, as Ronnie is about to give first 4 points away to Higgins on a foul shot. And surely will be put back exactly where he is. Whether I watch this in the back, should be the same thing, Kushel, because you should be able to do that on the WSD Play. So you go onto the official snooker app, you should be able to be seeing that, or you just go on the website. Depends on which thing you're watching it from. So yeah, it's just going to be a little bit of the establishment there to see the cue ball to be replaced next to the green. Shouldn't take too long, to be fair, and now it will be down to Ronnie to try and play this shot away, off into the right side. He's going to be closer, but this one is going to be closer to pink, and it will be 6 points to be given away. So this is going to take a little bit longer, but to be fair, I feel like the the reds haven't gone too far away from each other. So once again, it's 6 points in favour of Higgins. So Ronnie seems like he's bleeding points for now, but it's only 17 with 131 still being available. And you're just having a look. I feel like this cue ball is a little bit too close to the green. Ronnie seems to be happy with it after a minor adjustment. Attempt number 3 coming up. It shouldn't be difficult because there's not a lot of pressure on it, because you can't leave anything away. But what you can do is hit the pink for one more time. And then it will be Trom versus Vafai are playing tomorrow. Yes, what's the score of Trom's match? It will be 4-4, which is surprising. Not as surprising as the fact that Ronnie conceded 16 points from such a simple snooker escape. I mean, it may be just looking that like it's very simple. Surely you won't be catching the pink for the third time. But I mean, if it was simple, you would not have caught it for the first 2 times as well. So 23 points to 0 now. Of course, it doesn't really matter too much, but if he gets to a ridiculous point, which seems like it's going to be close to that, but this time around, he manages to finally find those reds with the 4th attempt. Trump versus Vavai are playing tomorrow. Yeah, there should be. I'm pretty sure this match was scheduled to go at the same time as Weezy against Mark Selby. but may have been down to Mark Williams and Barry Hawkins finishing early, which of course was never going to happen because the first session finished 4-all, which is impossible for that match then to finish in session number 2, because you need to win 9 more frames, where you only have 8 of those allocated per session. But yeah, the format here is going to be 8, 8, 9, and yeah, just quick heads up, I'm not sure if this party will continue for me on the channel at 1 o'clock on Monday. It's going to be very touch and go, so because it's the third session, it's going to be loads of motivation to try and get there, but it may start like 20 or 30 minutes late. I'll keep you updated with that one on the post app, but once again, that's going to be a thing for Monday to worry about. We may still see a whitewash here from Ronnie, which is never going to happen, but it's technically possible. And we may still see the repeat of Soundgarden against Sean Murphy and 13 frames to 3 being the end result. As for now, it's a good safety there by Ronnie, because it was a smart shot that he's played, trying to get those reds to spread out away from each other, but at the same time, you know, keeping that cue ball to be very close to the top end of the table. Higgins' shot is going to be close, but the cue ball is going to be a little bit too close to the pocket, and he will drop in. So, you know, Ronnie wasn't perfect with conceding 16 foul shots. Now, 16 foul points, I should say. Now, Higgins is going to join the party, but ultimately, of course, it's now going to be a ball in hand. So what can Ronnie do here? He's got the paint over the middle, so you know what he's going to do there. He's going to try and go for the long red, which he has got 2 off. Yeah, but that is, I mean, the awkward thing about it, he wants to try and take the cue ball sort of outside of the D, try and put it a lot closer to the side cushion on the right hand side of the table, but of course he's not allowed to be doing that. The problem is, if you take that cue ball so close to the edge of the D, you're still just about going to be on the wrong side of that red to try and play for the pink. So you may have to go for a safety shot after all that, and that seems to be the case. He may be playing a red towards the pocket anyway, but he's certainly doing that with a safe attempt. Yeah, it was close, but he was never going in. And yeah, Ronnie just manages to give a little nudge to the yellow and still positions that cue ball really nicely on for the, what's it called, on the ball cushion here. So right now, it's going to be 19 points as a difference. Higgins still holds the lead, but the position is certainly going to leave chances away to both of those players. Matt says hello, hello. Yeah, so 19 points is the gap, 131 is the difference, and if you're going to have a chance of trying to get through to the black, as I say, the pink is going to be over the middle, especially if you're going to be on the lower side of the table, then that's going to be the case. But on the other case scenario, you'll still have to try and get through to the black as soon as you possibly can, and that's not going to be an easy mission for either one of the players. So it's going to be really interesting to see the shot selection here from Higgins. That was a risky one, and it certainly seems like he's injected a little bit too much pace here. And yeah, he got that cue ball to be overrunning for the balk line. And he will be down to Ronnie O'Sullivan to try. And once again, he's got attempt number 2 here, but I feel like he won't really turn this one down, because he's got a nice little national angle to try and force that cue ball to be heading for the ball colours here. And he doesn't really have loads of pressure, although he needs that cue ball to keep running now because he has missed that red and he hasn't run far enough. So now it's going to be a very similar chance for Higgins. And it may still be a chance away to be given for John Higgins, because if he goes for that red into the left corner, he's got the same angle as Ronnie O'Sullivan had on the previous shot of just trying to guide that cue ball towards the balk line anyway. But it seems like he's not going to fancy his chances here, which is surprising because he doesn't have, you know, the cue ball to travel as much of a distance. Oh, he's got that red to be heading towards the middle. He needs to slow down, and he will slow down just about in time. I'm not sure if he's actually managed to block off the pink as well, which could be another important factor. And Ronnie's going to have a look at that right now, just to see, and of course so that he knows on what the situation is going to be with that red and the pink. But now it certainly seems like he should be able, as Mark Williams, by the way, takes the first frame against Barry Hawkins, and he was able to do that with some great, you know, piece of cueing, as Ronnie O'Sullivan, once again, I mean, it was just here from Ronnie, and yeah, he seemed like just getting away with those chances, not putting those reds over the pocket. But this time, at least the red, you know, hasn't gone beyond the point of the left middle. Still going to have a chance to try and take this one into the left corner, but ultimately, I would actually suggest that, you know, the easiest shot is going to be just to try and play a safety shot out of it, which, as much as it is disappointing for Higgins to be doing that over and over and again, you know, you still have to be sticking with something that is right for you. And now just carefully playing this shot, make sure that he's going to have a great chance of trying to take that cue ball all the way. And now he puts himself in a position where he can sort of control the match, starting from this point. You know, in relation certainly to the safety battle. Oh, that's a horrible fluke, that from Ronnie. And that will certainly hurt for John Higgins, because he dropped the red. I mean, he was always going to leave another red away to Higgins, but that is very cruel to John. And he probably was ready to rise from his seat. He hasn't done that, and he won't do that for at least one more shot there. Ronnie's got a chance to try and take the blue on into the green pocket. So it doesn't seem like he's too happy with this one. I mean, he can take the yellow on as well, which, I mean, the problem with taking the yellow on is that you've got too much of the pace of the cue ball by default, which just makes that cue ball to be heading towards the lower end of the table, which is not something that Ronnie wants to be doing. He wants to try and keep that cue ball at the top end of the table for at least one more shot. That's what he's done here on the red. Hasn't quite got under the cue ball enough there, but still going to be well positioned for this red. He's just, in relation to ideally, would have liked to try and stay on the blue here. You're probably going to be forced here to try and take it to the black, which is a load of miles for the cue ball to try and cover here. So that won't be easy. As I say, it's down to if the pin goes into the middle. And still, you need to pop this red as well. Don't forget about that. Always use loads of that pocket. Oh, that... I mean, I said he needs to pot that red, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't really believe that Ronnie could miss it. And in the end, it was the Ronnie doing the John Higgins trademark plant again to this frame. Well, listen, it hasn't really got him too far. And the flukes are part of the game, but I have to say, even as a Ronnie fan, I don't really get upset too much when you got a fluke like that and then you only scored 10 points out of it. If anything, I'm actually going to be pretty happy with it, because it's not the way that you want to win the frame, although you should actually take it. So, as I say, you can say that as a fan. You certainly shouldn't be doing that when you're playing and actually in the arena. So for now, it will be down to John Higgins to try and have a look here to see on what's going to be happening around the lower end of the table. Seems like he's going to just carefully try and go for this red into the right corner. That's going to be in. See where the cue ball finished. It was close to the jaw of the middle pocket, but at the end, it is going to be on the top side of a blue, which is exactly what Higgins would have liked to see. And now, he's got himself through to a decent opportunity to try and establish his lead, which was mainly down to the foul points conceded there by Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now, he will be down to his point scoring ability there, and trying to build a break which will allow him to be sort of 50 or 60 points clear. Something which probably should be the benchmark, especially when you're going to be against someone like Ronnie O'Sullivan. As he now gets himself through to the red nicely, which gives him pretty much a golden ticket of trying to play for the black. Although, I mean, it looked better on the previous camera angle because, I mean, it's difficult for me to say. He's clearly going to be playing for the pink here. He's got no chance of trying to get on the black. I thought he had the angle to try and sort of bounce the cue ball away from the black cushion and try and get on top of the black. Seems like that's not really going to be the case. And he's going to just try and force himself with an awkward angle anyway, by the way, to play for the pink. I mean, you can't miss this one. But in relation to the cue ball, you still have to... Oh, I mean, nearly missed that one, I know. And of course, for him to be nearly missing that pink, he compromised himself massively in relation to that cue ball. Let's have a look. Has he caught too much of the front jaw? Was that the back jaw that he caught? Nah, to be fair, that was always dropping in. He just played that with a little bit of pace. And, yeah, well, clearly, whatever it was, he didn't judge the cue ball's perspective too well. He's tried to go for a double, which wasn't a bad effort, but in the end, you know, the red is going to bounce off the side cushion, and the cue ball was always going to be left for a shot of the red. Now, will be just 13 points scored there by John Higgins, which, as I say, it doesn't really make sense how he's got breaks of 7 and 13, and yet he's going to be finding himself on 36 points. But anyway, Ronnie's still in this frame, as long as he doesn't play, you know, too badly over safeties here, and he hasn't played a good one here, although I wouldn't say it's a bad one in terms of looking at what he's actually left away to Higgins. And it seems like it's only going to be one of those reds, which is a potential chance out of those 10 for Higgins to try and take into the corner. His long shot game has been, well, tested once, and he's managed to make that red emphatically well into the corner. And then, of course, the fluke that Ronnie got only got him 6 points in this frame. So let's have a look on what's it going to be. And just trying to carefully roll that cue ball towards the left side cushion. I mean, it's tempting for Ronnie, you know, because I'm not too sure what Higgins was thinking there, because, I mean, there is a clear red that he can take into the corner. I mean, whatever it was, it seemed like it's very tempting to me. Ronnie doesn't feel like it. Oh, that's a bad shot, though. He caught the red way too thin. He got the black for a double kiss as well. And he's still, because of so many reds to be bunched up together, has managed to play this one about as safe as he could have been there. John Higgins ain't been out of the top 10 since 1995. Incredible consistency. And Ronnie can't be saying the same thing there, because he's out of the top 10 right now, which is very much the reason why the two players are meeting each other here. Because of Higgins being the 5th rated player on the tour. That's a bad shot again there by John. It's almost like he's tempting Ronnie to try and go for these reds. This one is borderline in relation to this is going to be really difficult for you to cut into the left middle. But that red should not have been anywhere near the shot of the left side cushion. And now it's a really good shot in relation to potting the red. And now has he got a little bit of luck on the black? I'll tell you what, to me, it seems like it does. To him, it doesn't seem like it does. Oh, that's close, but the red is just about going to be in the way of the black, which I feel like it would have been a little bit unfair to try and take a red like that. And then still, after so many cannons and kisses of the cue ball, to be lined up perfectly on the black into the left corner. So 25 points is the difference. 99 at the table. He's got a long shot pink to be taken here into the yellow pocket. He may be able to get through to the yellow as well, but ultimately, he probably wants to try and play this one safe, as much as it's a weird thing from Ronnie's point of view to be saying, but, you know, there's a lot more things that you can lose out of this shot on the pink than you can gain. And if you put John Higgins in a little bit of trouble from a safety point of view, he's got 2 reds to be basically over the pocket, and if you can try and put the cue ball to be in a place where neither of those 2 reds present too much of a danger, especially to Ronnie's point of view, then he should get a great chance of trying to make this work in his favour as well. So yeah, just trying to play the green away from the top side cushion. Make sure that he's going to have the blue to be covering the red next to the left corner. So once again, it's just going to be a single point there that Ronnie scores and gives the turn back to John Higgins. Yeah, just having a look to... Yeah, the problem, of course, and the good thing about Ronnie playing that shot is that the red over the right corner, as much as it's literally a centimetre away, because of the cue ball being pretty much alongside that red, he turns the really easy cut, if the cue ball would have been sort of over the yellow pocket, into pretty much an impossible thing there. But John Higgins finds an incredible long shot, and somehow is able to squeeze another red past that left corner. And look at that, how far was that red away from the target point? And still, he manages to play that shot about as well as he could. And now getting himself through to surely the golden ticket of trying to win this frame and make sure that it will be the one where O'Sullivan cannot counter. Now 29 being the advantage here, surely, even though it is still 91 at the table, he will be down to Higgins to try and sort of get away from this one. Meanwhile, the same thing is happening in the match of Hawkins against Williams, where Hawkins is about to try and win 18 frame. And still re-establish that 4 frame of advantage. As Higgins now just having a careful look towards the black. Make sure that he's got that one to be taken into the corner. And just tries to force that cue ball to be staying with a little bit of backspin there to be played. As I say, all he has to do, and all you have to do in those sort of scenarios, is that make sure you take all the easy reds first. And then leave it as much of a challenge as you possibly can for someone like Ronnie to try and catch up with you, which is never really going to happen. But you don't really want to test it, because you could always find yourself in a position where it might actually happen against you, just ask Shego John, because that was a really good clearance, which I still feel like is going to be an honourable mention for the best one of the entire tournament. I'm pretty sure that one has to be taken by Barry Hawkins, even though, of course, Murphy had so much to praise of his own clearance in the 19th frame. Oh, that's a bad miss from Higgins. He's missed the black off the spot, and yeah, the black sort of cannon the red out of the way. But he certainly could have done with scoring sort of 15 more points, taking the black, taking one more red, and basically leave no chance away to John Higgins to try and equalise. Ronnie O'Sullivan, I should say, to try and equalise and take this frame the distance. Right now, it's still 75 points in play, 38 being the difference. And he's got a decent opportunity to try and play those reds into the side cushion there, Ronnie. Make sure that he's got as many of those as possible to try and take into the open play. But clearly wasn't too focused about that one on the particular shot. Just trying to make sure that he sort of cannons the cue ball to me towards the top area of the table. And he sort of got stuck in between the bulk line and the bulk cushion. As long as he hasn't left the red for Higgins to be taken into the left corner. You know, the problem is you've got 5 reds to choose from at the left-hand side, and then you've got one more red at the black ball cushion. Neither one of those reds are actually easy for you to play a safety shot from. And it probably tells you everything you need to know. If of the 5 reds on the side cushion, he's choosing the one perfectly on the black ball cushion. He still seemed like he got a really nice contact on it, as long as the cue ball avoids the yellow pocket, which he has. And Higgins got a little bit fortunate with it. But he could have been a lot more fortunate had the cue ball travelled a couple of centimetres closer to the yellow. Right now, I still feel like there is going to be a chance for Ronnie to try and play on the right-hand side of those reds. And basically get that cue ball to be into a safe place or somewhat close to it. Make sure you avoid the middle jaw, which he has done. He managed to cover up the only dangerous thread away from the blue and the pink. So mission accomplished there. By Ronnie to try and get himself out of trouble. But of course he's not really going to be able to win a frame like that whilst just trying to stay in defence. He needs to just try and wait for his chance, and then when the chance comes, he needs to be the one very much taking that opportunity. As Higgins once again is aiming towards that yellow pocket, but on the second out of those 3 attempts, manages to keep the cue ball at the table. So there's a little snake forming up at the left-hand side of the table, and there is going to be a decent opportunity for Ronnie to try and take a red on one onto another, and just carefully play that shot with the cue ball to be bouncing away nicely. And once again, just looking for that yellow pocket there. It's a really nice shot from Ronnie in relation to the cue ball. And he's actually managed to a couple of... for me, I'm a wrestler. Hope you don't tell me that I've been talking into the mic for no reason. No, it should be all on. So I'm not sure if that was all down to just you talking about it. But anyway, listen, it's a break of 67 points by Barry, by the way, in a frame number 18. So he's about to be just 2 frames from glory and making it through to the quarterfinal, pretty much completing the lineup, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be against Mark Cullen with, certainly a gritted match. If you're into one of those, then you're here for a very interesting encounter. But that was a very bad shot from Higgins. Is he going to get cover on the pink? Oh, it seems like he will. Can Ronnie try and go for a plan here? Because he certainly won't be able to get through to that red directly. Yeah, there is a chance for a plant, but it won't be too easy for him to try and take this one away. John Higgins already had 6 unforced errors. Ronnie had 3, which is difficult for me to say which 3 do you think that is. Because, yeah, really difficult to say. But right now, it's certainly going to be a really good plan that he's taken. Pretty much the entire length of the table. And as I say, if he can manage to score more points, this challenge would have been a lot more difficult for Ronnie. But right now, he still finds himself in a position where he can easily win this frame if he manages to get the cluster of 2 reds and the black away from the left side cushion. But of course, easier said than done. And he's trying to clearly position himself for that cluster straight away. He's going to be exactly alongside the reds, which is going to be quite close to the left corner. So this is now going to be a great chance here for Ronnie to try and disrupt those 3. And, well, he managed to get the black into the open play, which is great news for him, but that probably was the least relevant of the 3 balls that he was trying to disrupt. Because very much looking forward to trying to get those 2 reds to be in play, which I mean, I suppose if you take them one by one, you could actually make an argument that they're going to be playable, but it's really difficult for you to play shots like that. Just about squeezes that pink into the right middle. And now, what's he going to have from the choice selection? Can he try and roll the red into the left middle? Seems like the angle is going to be a little bit too tight there for him. So it's probably going to be down to taking a red along the black or cushion. Not an easy, those shots. And these are the ones that can easily be missed. And at the end, it was a really good shot there from Ronnie. And he's still managing to be keeping himself at the top side of a blue. So right now, just trying to clearly make sure that he gets that first steal chance very much underway for himself. He needs that cue ball to be perfectly placed onto the side cushion. And then you'll have a really good chance of trying to take the red away from the left corner. Oh, I mean, he's having a look. The cue ball is not quite perfectly onto the left side cushion. Oh, I mean, he's having a look at it. He needs that red to disappear, and then he becomes the favourite for this frame. He's clearly not comfortable with it. He's got a red into the middle, but I mean, the problem is if you take that red into the middle, you pretty much commit to realise you won't be able to win the frame in the current visit to the table. Although it's a nice angle, then he leaves himself on the pink. So if he does the same thing from what he's had on the previous shot with the blue, he can try and sort of separate those two reds away from each other and make sure that he will be still fighting for one of those reds to be squeezed into the corner. And has he got enough purchase on the cue ball? He's actually got a little bit too much, but wow, that's a good shot. And now he's actually got two reds that he can try and choose from. I feel like he's going to try and go for the red next to the side cushion. Look at that. He's absolutely powering that red in. I mean, it wanted to power that one a little bit more, to be fair, because I've got no clue how he's going to be able to try and position himself for the last red, apart from going around the house. I mean, yellow may actually be the best case for him. The black is going to send the pink sends the cue ball into nowhere. So the black or the yellow for me is going to go for the black. But I feel like the yellow genuinely would have been an easier option. And is he going to just commit himself for a long shot? Well, it's a shot for the frame. If he's on the collar, he's got a great chance of trying to take this one all the way. And he's already been a great challenge of trying to, come back from the position where he was. 34 points later, he's got a really good chance to try and take this one all in and make sure that he's going to be the one very much setting the pace to the remainder of this first session. Now then, this surely for the frame, and he's got it. Now, how's the colour? The colour is good. The colour is really good as well, and this could be the best. Well, is he going to be the best clearance of the tournament? Because, as I say, I feel like the one against Shego John was a little bit better. This one is not complete, of course, and wow, is that a bad miss. That is a horrible miss from Ronnie, but the pink has gone all the way and covered the green. I don't know what he's done there. He's playing the shot left-handed, and that clearly hasn't worked out for him. I mean, he's done all the hard work, and then he misses the red like that, the pink like that. That is, not going to say a shocker, because you can still see that pink to be missed, but, for all the great shots that he's played, that certainly was the worst one. And after all that work, it gives the turn back to John Higgins. But as I say, the pink has covered the green pocket. He needs to be taking a rest shot here. He needs a monumental cue action here to try and get on the right-hand side of the green. The angle is there, but is he going to have enough room and enough cue power to try and actually guide that cue ball there without missing the yellow? Because it's not quite in the pocket. He's played that one well. Has he got the power on the cue ball? He's just about got enough there for this shot to be a reasonable one for you to try and take the green into the middle. There's no way you can try and take this one into the yellow pocket, but he doesn't need to. Frame time is going to reach half an hour. Loads of drama already. And how on earth Ronnie finds himself sat in his seat, being 5 points behind right now? Well, we'll never know, but it's still a green right now for Higgins to try and take this one all the way. And surely right now, there is no way back for Ronnie in this particular frame. He had his chances, purely created by himself, but that mistake was self-inflicted as well at that stage. And once again, it is the pink at the crucible for Ronnie O'Sullivan, and John Higgins only needs the blue, I should say, and then that will be game over. with a break of 14 points still being his highest, by the way, in the match. And he makes that blue into the right corner and now makes sure that it is going to be just try to roll the pink to the green pocket as well and position yourself on a nice little break of 20 points, which certainly will be more than enough for it to be a score draw and one frame each there of John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Easily could have been anyone's frame for the taking, but in the end, you can't say it wasn't fair that John took it at the end. He was always going to be a threat since the starting point of it, especially when he had something like 40 points advantage and such a difficult position for Ronnie to try and make his way through. Right now, Williams is the one of the class of 92 that seems like he's the closest to being on the brink to elimination. 10 points down in frame number 19. And it's about to be 11 points. It's a fantastic long red by Barry Hawkins as he tries to make that cue ball past the brown. And he's still going to be lined up nicely for the white to bounce from the cushion. And now position himself for a shot of the brown to be potentially taken into the middle. It does seem like he just needs to be guarding that cue ball carefully past the right side cushion for him to make sure that that line on the brown still going to be available. As I say, I mean, if Hawkins manages to meet Allen in the quarterfinals, then this is the lineup that I certainly didn't think was going to be there. I know Wilson sort of, and what's his name? Zhang Anda weren't playing particularly well, but I mean, fair play to both of them. And now Hawkins is only a frame and a half away from making absolute glory for himself as he takes that brown away nicely. And we're about to start the third frame in the match of legends. And Ronnie O'Sullivan and save from the steal. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was, as much as he was poor from Ronnie's point of view, that yellow from John was still top standard. And he needed to be because he had to make sure that that cue ball was going to be running perfectly towards the green. That certainly was the case. And then, the rest was history. As soon as he got that green into left middle, he was never going to be losing that frame from there. And the break of 20 points, still his highest so far in the match. Somehow, we've seen the breaks of 35 from Murphy in that particular frame. I haven't seen anything like it so far from John. But it just shows you, when you've got that close position, sometimes the break of 13 points can be more important than the break of 35 points because of the number of reds that you take and also because of the particular phase of the frame where that happens. Because you could well be 30 points down, and you just have to realise that scoring 35 points won't be enough. Or you could be 20 points clear, and 13 points for you is going to mean the world. And once again, Higgins feels like he's trying to be confident. Let's see where that red is going to finish after a long shot attempt, or is he going to finish in exactly the worst case position there? I mean, how on earth the cue ball and the red have finished so close to each other? Ronnie won't really have to care about that one too much, but that was... I'm not going to say that was reckless from Higgins because that was always going to be the only red that he could leave. And, that certainly was the history. He's left that red away. And now Ronnie is the first of the two players to try and get himself on the score sheet in the third frame. So now the problem and the advantage for Higgins is that he only has two more reds available to him after the blue is about to disappear. He may not even have the angle on the blue to try and take this one with just one side cushion. And just trying to put loads of side on that one so that he's just about fine in terms of his positional play for this red. To be carefully taken into the left corner and make sure that I feel like there is going to be a chance for him to try and play for the black here into the left corner and then score 20 points or something like that. And then it'll be down to the next colour for him to try and take into those reds. Usually so flawless from the split of the pack. Is that going to be the case here again? And, the black is about to be respotted. Ronnie's having a look to see. By the way, I do wonder if his sponsorship, you can see on his, left-hand side of his arm there, on the left arm, he's got a Riyadh season sponsorship with all the news from Saudi coming in. You do wonder if that's going to be called the end off as well. As the black is about to be taken into the corner, but that was never going to be enough of an angle. Although, he got one red, very specifically one red to be available to him, although it's still a mighty cut into the corner. But it's a lifeline, and once again, same as Higgins' shot previously, you only have got one of those reds to give away, although he has missed it. And yeah, that red has gone safe, to be fair. So he would have been nicely on the colour. So that would have left him with another chance there for Ronnie O'Sullivan. For now, it's a break of 22 points, which brings the end of him. And down to John Higgins to try and take this one now. Very much under his control. And once again, very early observations, but really good style of play. For now, yes, you could say it's not quite been as flawless and high scoring there from both of the players. But ultimately, probably have to do have to say that you know, that's due to the position more than the players. Yes, we've seen a couple of bad misses there from both of them, but at the same time, you know, it will take a little bit of time for them to warm up. And then when they do, you could still see an absolute classic of a snooker match in between the two of them. Because now Higgins is the one looking to try and go for the red into the corner. Not too sure what that's going to be down to in relation to the other red that he can try and take into the right-hand side of the table. And for now, just carefully playing the shot towards the brown and make sure that he just sort of stuns the cue ball to be in the place of the round. And now just having a look towards the journey back to seed. It seems like he's managed to hamper Higgins enough there so that Joan won't be tempted to be trying to take the red into the corner. Although, I mean, from this angle, it certainly doesn't seem like he's got any sort of impact from the yellow at all. He can actually try and put his hand on the table nicely. The cue ball is not too far away from the red, so he may just try and take this one away. He has tried to, he hasn't managed to. And is the red going to run safe? No, he won't. And he's going to leave two options there for Ronnie O'Sullivan. And I feel like the one slightly closer to the pocket, slightly further away from the side cushion, may be the better choice here for Ronnie to try and take. Because, you know, he's got a really good chance of trying to take that red away whilst getting that cue ball to be running through to a corridor. Well, he was fortunate with that kiss because he wasn't playing for the pink. But in the end, he got a double kiss of the red on the black ball cushion as he pots one into the corner. And he's still going to be perfectly on the pink. So the question which he needs to answer right now is, has he got any of those reds to play for? Because the pink is nice, but what comes after the pink? And he's even thinking about trying to send that cue ball all the way to the right side cushion, which, I mean, no matter how well you play for that red, it's always going to be missable, which just tells you how few options there are for him to try and continue the break. So we're just having a look on trying to maybe go for a full screw back shot. You know, round one, 17 seconds average shot time. Round two, 27 seconds so far. But of course, it's going to be down to, you know, pretty slow pace to the opening 2.5 frames. But ultimately, down on the chances created for him and John Higgins as well. Now just having a look at this red to be taken to the right corner of the table here. And if he's going to have a chance to try and take that red into the corner, he may still need to try and bring the white towards the top cushion here in relation to just further away from those reds in case he's going to be missing this red. He's played that one well, but has he played it well enough? He may be forced to be taking the pink here. He's actually underscrewed for that blue. Of all the things that he could have done, that certainly wasn't on the thing that I predicted. I mean, how do you underscrew for that blue when he had to be pretty much close to the ball colours just in case of a safety? This is such an awkward shot for you to be taking the pink on. He's forced to be placing his hand onto the cushion rather than the table, but that was struck beautifully well. And he's got a good chance to try and continue from here, you know. He's got a red into the right corner. He's got a red into the left corner, which he's looking at right now. And if he's got both of them available, he's in dreamland. And he certainly shouldn't lose grip of this frame here. So now just trying to make his way around the table and see what's going to be happening around, you know, the third frame here. I mean, as I say, if he's able to get through to that red into the corner, he has to take it now because he frees up very important space for him in the middle of the table, and it potentially opens up room to try and take the black into the corner as well. So just having a look once again at the black, making sure that he's going to be happy with it as well. But yeah, he doesn't seem like he's happy with it at all. So in the end, yeah, when he takes so many seconds on the shot, either he takes it and then he misses it, or he has to go for an easier solution, which clearly wasn't something that he was trying to do. Otherwise, he would have gone for it straight away. But it's just trying to get on the top side of a pink which clearly is a sign that he'll try and get a couple of those reds to be out of the way. And at that point onwards, there's going to be loads of applause from table 2, which to me is a sign that Williams managed to win the 19 frame, and he has. So now it's back to 3 frames advantage for Barry Hawkins, and it's a good shot once again there from Ronnie. He's still so desperate to try and find a gap through to the left corner, but it seems like this time around he's going to be happy with the gap that he's found, and just carefully trying to play that cue ball for the pink one more time. Yeah, this one is a lot more like the first frame, where you just feel like you will be down to just carefully taking the pink away into the right middle. A little bit too close to the front jaw, which you won't be too happy about, but ultimately can't be too upset about that one either, because it's still a break which is going here of 28 points exactly, after the 22 points that he scored at the beginning of the frame as well. And should he pop 2 more reds after this pink, he should be clear of any danger from John Higgins to be catching up to him, because that will put him down to 67 points available, and then his gap should be way more than that by the point that he reaches the second red from here. So once again, he's deciding not to play for the black, which probably is a reasonable thing because of how tight the positional shot would have had to be. So just having a look at the pink one more time, and clearly just trying to go for a backspin shot here in the white. Make sure that he keeps that cue ball to be heading towards those reds, and once again, it's a really good break there. If you look at the position where he started, it certainly wasn't easy starting from there, and now he's about to use the black for the first time when he gets himself 65 points of a lead, and the black is certainly going to take him over the finish line here. Just as says Ronnie, yeah, listen, it's so far he has been a bit of a Ronnie show, because he had the ability to win every single one of those frames, and in fact, if he hadn't missed that pink into the corner, you have to say, how on earth is he not 3-0 up? But he's certainly going to be 2-1 up as soon as that red disappears into the corner. There's not going to be any chance now for Higgins to be coming back to the table, as Ronnie makes it the second 50-plus break for himself. And now can he try and do the impossible out of this position and try and make a safety century break out of it as well? So is he going to be down to hitting that cue ball very carefully underneath the cue ball, and make sure that he gets that red to be heading towards the right corner? Of course, the further into this break that he goes, the further the reds are going to be from the cushion, and ultimately the further they are going to be from the pocket as well. So it's now going to be at 66 points. So for a century to work out, you'll have to try and take every single one of those 2 reds. Average shot time on the break is 19 seconds, but once again, that was down to the grade of the position. It's a really good shot there once again that Ronnie's played, getting one of those reds to be closer to the left corner. Just about drops that one in after a little bit of a wobble. Let's see if he's going to try and play the cue ball into the red, or just try and hold that wide back from it. Oh, it seems like he's overplayed for that one. It's going to be really difficult to make a century from here, but he's got nothing to lose. He's got no pressure on this one as well, and he's close. Oh, that was very, very close, but in the end, the pockets are going to be tight to the crucible, and once again, it is going to be another break of 80 plus there from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Could have easily been a 3-0 lead, but he will still take a 2-1 of a cushion against someone as great as John Higgins. Ronnie O'Sullivan is the one that takes the lead of 2 frames to 1. It is still very much game on, but Higgins, for now, certainly seems to find himself as the passenger, as he was fortunate to get over the line in that 3rd frame, but ultimately you have to give loads of credit away to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He certainly has turned up here to play, as has Barry Hawkins. Still seems like he's not going to allow Mark Williams to get any closer to him than 3 frames. He's done that with 10-7, he's done that with 11-8, and it seems like he's going to be able to find something special every single time there, as he's about to score 16 points here at the beginning of that frame number 20, to make sure that he still finds himself very much the player to try and beat here, as he carefully rolls the black into the right corner, make sure that he positions himself for the red to be taken here into the left part of the table as well, and carefully plays that cue ball to be put through those reds, so that he's going to have himself lined up for the black for the 3rd time here as well. So it does seem like it's going to look very nicely for, Barry Hawkins' point of view. Let's see if that will be the case for Team Mark Williams as well, because for now, I probably wouldn't say so, but purely down to, maybe you have to say Higgins needs a little bit longer to warm up, which we have seen against Selby. We haven't really seen against the likes of Xiaoxington, but ultimately you still have to say Higgins surely will have plenty more room for him to try and improve his game on. And right now, it's still very much early days, and this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. The marathon that Neil Robertson clearly feels like should be very much kept until the end point of the tournament, which I don't know what you think about it, by the way. Let's actually have a do it poll. I mean, I am feeling in the mood of a poll. It's a little bit boring that Ronnie's going to be winning those by 83% to 10. Let's have a look. Should World Championship be first to 13 every stage? Yes or no? There we go. You can try and do that one. That will be a little bit different. So let's see what you think about it, because I think it's a lot of nonsense, to be honest with you. So if I could vote, I certainly would say no. For me, if anything, you need to bring a little bit more of a variety so that you have got first to 10 first round is fine. First to 13 second round is fine. For me, the thing is the quarterfinals for it to be the first to 13 again, and then you sort of jump first to 17 in the semi-finals. I understand it's going to be down to you can't really have a first to 15 because it sort of damages the rhythm of sessions. But ultimately for me, it just feels like it's a little bit weird to have the second round and then the quarterfinals to be at the same sort of value. Well, this is going to be really interesting to see. The red is going to be all over the pocket there from Higgins. He nearly rolled that one in, but in the end it is Ronnie O'Sullivan that will be jumping and storming back to the table. It will be a great opportunity to try and get himself on the score sheet here, as the red just about stays over the pocket. Ronnie's going to try and take the pace away from it, and he seemed to have played that shot really well to be on the block. So then, once again, a points scoring opportunity comes to the reality there for Ronnie, because he's going to have a good chance of trying to play the cue ball into the main bunch of reds, try and make sure he doesn't lose the cue ball. And he's still going to be on the ready to the corner. Look at that for a shot. Brilliant. As much as he didn't get himself too many of those reds to be an open play, the fact that he's still on the red is certainly going to be a great boost to his chances of trying to take this one all the way. Higgins, once again, he can't be too disappointed because he hasn't done an awful lot of things wrong. But he certainly seems to find himself in a position where it's going to be really difficult for him to try and recover if things continue to go the same way like they have been so far, because right now, I mean, tell me what Higgins has done wrong in the recent couple of frames that sort of led him to, sort of be in this position, because right now, Ronnie seems like he can't miss anything, and he certainly seems like he's going to find himself in the position of trying to take this red away as well with the black, positioning himself very carefully to try and take it down to a 3-1 of a lead. And now just having a look at that red that he's taken. He's still going to be on the black here to try and take into the corner. And he's just not too confident with that red to try and take carefully towards the right-hand side of the table here. So in the end, just trying to carefully play the black into the right corner. Make sure that he's going to be trying to focus on the easy reds for him to take before he gets on all the difficult ones as well. Because the position is not necessarily the easiest one. It's just that one of those puzzles that you would expect Ronnie to try and solve there. But whether he's going to be able to do that or not, only time will tell. Because it's still very early to this visit to the table. Just because he manages to score 17 points. And he's still going to be on the wrong side of a blue here. So trying to go around the table. He's not going to be able to just sort of stun the cue ball and play for the reds from there. Why can't you show live streaming? Because it's YouTube. And you don't have the rights for you to be doing that. One of the reasons why Saudi are not going to be here for the next season, presumably, of course, he's going to be due to the money. And they didn't really get any of the sort of deals with Matchroom or stuff. So they had to be showing that on YouTube, which is the only way for you to be doing events like that. Really good shot there, by the way, from Ronnie. He still finds himself to be in a straight line. Well, I mean, I tell you what, he certainly took no prisoners there. How close was that red? I mean, you had to be playing closer to the front jaw there. And Ronnie is actually trying to play, closer to the far end jaw. And you can see century breaks, crucible matches to be won. Ronnie O'Sullivan with 82. Stephen Hendry joined second with Higgins of 70. Steve Davis is going to be on 61. And then Mark Williams is going to be on 51 as well. I assume that's Steve Davis and that's not Joel Davis. But of course, that would have been not at the Crucible. Sorry, I'm thinking about the World Championship. Of course, when it comes to the Crucible, it will be Steve Davis. And that's a bad shot there from Ronnie. Not sure what he's going to try and do here. But this is going to be very awkward placement there for this black to be taken into the right corner. I'll still probably try and go for it, but it's not going to be quite as easy as it could have been. And seems like is he going to have someone in the crowd there he's not necessarily happy with. So going to walk back to his seat. Don't know what that's all about. He's gone back to his seat. He's had a little bit of a drink of water. Now he's going to be back again. So I'll just try and put a full reset on. Have a look at the black again. Now he's going to clear a little bit of the clock. Never been a fan of those delays from Ronnie because they never lead to anything positive from personal experience. So let's see what's it going to be now. But this one is certainly going to lead to the black disappearing into the corner. And that was a really tough shot for you to play, especially after such a long delay as well. This one finds the target, and now you're going to have a really good opportunity to try and put that red onto the right middle. Absolutely hammers that one home. And now 37 points of a lead. You know, it's still not going to be a written for him to try and win this frame in the current visit to the table. But he certainly left himself with the chance to try and do that. It is now ahead by 42 points. Still plenty more for Higgins to try and recover from if he is to get another visit to the table. Which for now, well, I mean, Ronnie's clearly trying to just go for all the loose reds first. He's 43 points clear, 91 at the table. Pot success for Higgins so far, 77%, 92 for Ronnie. And he's just carefully trying to take that cue ball on a journey towards the red into the middle. That clearly is going to be the last red for now of those that Ronnie has got available to him. So just a little bit of backspin to be played. Took that red well. And now has he given himself another option? Not really. Not really if you think about it. So 49 points is the gap. What can he try and do with those two reds? Ideally, he wants to try and place the cue ball to be sort of in between them. But of course, something that I have certainly missed is the red right in the middle of the table. In the middle of the pack there, that he can certainly try and take into the right part of the table. Match time is just about to go over an hour, which is going to be great pace when you consider that, you know, we're about to be reaching the end point of the fourth frame as well, whether he's going to be down to a comeback from Higgins or he's going to be down to Ronnie taking this one all the way. Only needs one more red and colour combination after this one. He's trying to play it with a very fine margin of a shot there. Just try and minimise the angle on the cue ball. So then he only needs this red and then the colour after it. He's got the red in and he's going to be on the pink. So the pink right now to be 71 points clear, I should say, with 67 at the table. And it is going to be 3-1 of a lead there in such a blistering performance from Ronnie. And dare I say it, it has been by far the best four frames that we've seen of him in the entirety of the season, especially when you talk about the opposition. And he certainly managed to bring out the best of his snooker to a very important stage here, as he's about to go for, once again, he had a chance in the first frame, he had the chance in the third frame, and now he's got the chance for a century break in the frame number 4 as well. He's had the break of 82 points, he had the break of 86 points as well. Right now, he's on a break of 80 points and counting, and make that 87, as he did absolutely hammers that black into the corner, still going for a potential of a 138. Going to be a great chance now for Ronnie to try and, well, really make it a gap there to John Higgins, because I said 5-3, but I was genuinely positive of what we've seen from Ronnie from the first round against Jago John, but at the same time, you had to say, you know, it was down to no resistance from the opposition player as well. And you feel like it is going to be a little bit different there from Higgins, that you really expect to turn up to those sort of matches. As now, it's a shot for the century break, which will tell you that for now, certainly when you talk about those points, 69 of those to be scored in pretty much the entirety of the second frame. And apart from that, it's all been 86-0 in the first frame, and now 104 points and counting in frame number 4 as well. I can't remember what the scoreline was in the previous frame, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere close to 82 points to nil as well. Higgins just seems like he's going to be out of answers for the first 4 frames, and it has been a blistering performance from the Rocket that certainly seems like he's about to take off and go into the atmosphere. You know, Riyadh season or not, he should be sponsored by NASA very, very soon, because he certainly had a blistering pace to the first opening 4 frames here. He's on a break of 115 points and still just making sure that he carefully takes that brown away into the yellow pocket, positioning himself nicely for the blue to be taken into the left middle, and now still make it closer to that total clearance of 137 points. If he does make the pink and the black to go the distance, the pink is in, and it's now 130 points for a total clearance. It has been absolutely unstoppable from Ronnie O'Sullivan, and he will take some sort of performance and some sort of comeback from John Higgins to try and make sure that he manages to bring this session to an all-score draw, because I say he's got absolutely no chance of trying to take a lead against this version of Ronnie O'Sullivan, as, by the way, we're about to lose Mark Williams, it would seem. 1,237 points, 1,237 points there that Barry has scored, 834 for Mark Williams, and it's a really nice representation of how many frames they managed to win. 808 frames for Williams and 1,212 frames for Barry Hawkins as well. It just seems like it wasn't one of those great performances there, despite it being looking really promising there after the first round of Anthony Kowalski. I still feel like the signs were there that Williams might struggle, because a lot of those frames have been won on experience, and a lot of those frames have been won very late into the frame. So it could all be down to very much the inexperience of the debutant from Poland, but Barry is going to be the opposite of the inexperience, as he still finds himself in a really good position to try and make himself through to the quarterfinal, make it the third quarterfinalist out of the 8 possible to reach through to the last 8 stage. So they are going to have an intermission there, it would seem. But talk about this one, by the way. Ball spotted by John Higgins, 17. Ball spotted by Ronnie O'Sullivan, 104. Pot success, 94 to 77. Long pot success, 75% to 33. Safety success, 63 to 65. The only stat where Ronnie is trailing behind, but highest break, 137 to 20. It is borderline embarrassing, I will tell you that. For now, listen, you could say about the first, second frame maybe that Higgins needs a little bit of time to try and settle. He doesn't have time to settle now, because Ronnie seems to have settled before the match has even started with a fantastic break of 86 points. Then he's had breaks of 82 and 137 to try and put himself in a window to try and be very much back against the very best there when it comes to the favourite for winning the whole championship. Zington is going to be a threat, but I tell you what, if you find someone like John Higgins to be outplayed completely on all sort of stats, yes, it's only the first 4 frames out of potential 25. It will be, and by the way, let's end the frame with Ronnie winning that one on 137. And we'll take a lead of 3 frames to 1 as well. Yeah, I mean, if Higgins is going to be very much the victim of all the remaining mini sessions like he has done in the first 4 frames, you could easily say this could be one of those matches which either damages Ronnie from sort of fatigue point of view, but for now, it seems like he's absolutely flying through the gears. He doesn't have to do anything special, or, just seems like he's enjoying himself pretty well. And by the way, the odds for the world champion, 287 for Xiaozington, 433 for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He was as low as 9 at some stage. Trump has gone 5.5. After his 4-all draw against Hossein Wafai, and the likes of Selby and Murphy and Weezer are going to be all behind there, which I'm surprised that Robertson, I suppose he hasn't made it past the second round. Hawkins and Allen, and who else have we got in the next round? Murphy, yeah. So Hawkins, of course, is still looking to try and make his way through to the third round. Murphy and Allen are through. Murphy's valued as 11.0, Allen is 12.0 as well. So it doesn't seem too bad at all, but as I say, ultimately it will come down to whoever one of these two players will be able to find themselves in a good position, and ultimately just looking to make sure it will come down to a great performance for either one of them. For now, nothing seems like it's going to stop Ronnie O'Sullivan from taking a 3-1 of a lead. And as I say, it's going to be in the intermission in the match of Barry Hawkins against Mark Williams and in the match of John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan. We'll take a quick break here from the stream, and then we'll be back in around 5 or 7 minutes time to see on if it's going to be pretty much the same from Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins' point of view, with the Rocket taking a very early 3-1 of a lead.
We are forever learning, one step at a time. As long as the world is turning, I'll be by your side. We'll keep the fire burning, I'll never see you hurt. You know I can't explain it in a way of words. We both know that you'll understand, and you'll see if you take my hand, and I'll go out of my own way for you. I'll go out of my own way. My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid. I can almost feel you growing. rolling through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must come.
Right then, we are going to be back on this one very, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, because that was only a 5 to 8 minute break, and we are ready to welcome both of the players back onto the scene, as Barry Hawkins right now leads Mark Williams 12 frames to 8. That match is going to be slightly more relevant, only because of Barry, of course, being only 1 frame away from making it through to the quarterfinals, and Williams will have to try and find 5 more of those without allowing Barry Hawkins to win any more of those remaining frames for him to be very much to completing the comeback of potentially the entirety of the season out there, certainly the comeback of the Crucible so far, because, you know, that would have been a decent effort from Karen to do that, being 5-0 down and coming back to be leading 6 frames to 5, the only point where he led against Mark Cullen in the second round, but ultimately you still probably feel like when you're 12-8 down, when your opponent only needs 1 more frame, it's always going to be very difficult for you to try and get over the finish line, which is exactly why we've got so much pressure on Barry Hawkins throughout the first couple of frames. But you feel like because he's got the ability to try and lose 3 to 4 frames and still come across with equally as much of a chance in a decider for him to be winning that match as well. Ultimately, we are here to talk about Higgins against O'Sullivan, and there's not a lot that you can mention about John Higgins. As you can see, 69 points that he scores in the second frame, pretty much the entirety of it. The breaks of 13 points twice, the breaks of 20 points once. That adds up to 46 that he scored, make that 53 with 7 more points, and then of course 16 foul points exactly, which Ronnie has given away to him. So it doesn't look nice for Higgins. He's lost the first frame with a scoreline to 0, he's lost the third frame with a scoreline to 0, and he's lost the fourth frame with the scoreline to 0. So far, when he scores points, he wins a frame, but when he doesn't score, he doesn't stand a chance as well. And right now, Ronnie O'Sullivan has got a 3-1 of a lead. It could still be a massive turnaround. We hopefully won't see Ronnie changing his tip midway through the session. We've seen that before. Hopefully that won't happen until the end of the tournament. We've seen how he backfired with the likes of Trump, with his problems with the queue at the Tour Championship. We've seen what happened with with Karen Wilson in the second round and the first round match as well. He wasn't pretty. Yes, he's managed to win against Stan Moody, but at the end, he still came up very much short in his performance against, Mark Allen. So, listen, it will be down to a decent opportunity for Ronnie to try and get himself a healthy lead of 5 frames to 3 or even 6 frames to 2, just to make sure that even if he has a sort of half-hearted session 2, then he's still going to be very much a real threat to try and come up stronger against John Higgins in the over the course of 3 sessions. And of course, the winner of this match will play Chris Wakelin or Neil Robertson for a potential place in the semi-final as well. So it doesn't look too bad at all right now, and only 1 or 2 minutes away from welcoming the players back onto the arena. And still, it does seem like the players are going to be welcomed pretty much at the same time there, because their intermission of Barry Hawkins and Mark Williams started a little bit earlier. But, you know, it clearly has been more than 15 minutes ago. And we're still waiting to see on what is going to be the point of, you know, the players returning. But it certainly shouldn't be, you know, more than a minute. The crowd has absolutely taken their seats, which of course you get a warning in the UK if you go outside the arena, which you should come and certainly make your way back to the table as soon as you possibly can, until there is going to be a deadline where if you miss that one, you're not going to be allowed to be back in until the start of the next frame for your particular match. And now, and once again, not too sure what the delay is all about, but the time certainly is up. And now we are ready to welcome the players as they make their way towards the table number 2 and then towards the table number 1. Once again, as I said, that was clearly intentional to try and make sure that we were going to have the likes of John Higgins, Barry Hawkins, Mark Williams, and now the fourth one, but certainly not the least important, Ronnie O'Sullivan making their way back towards the table. And let's see on which part of those things is he going to be down to. Is he going to be Ronnie to try and continue to show some brilliant snooker that we've seen already in the first 4 frames or so? And now will be Ronnie to try and break off here to start the 5th frame and get it underway. So very careful in terms of his cue ball placement. So now let's see. What is he going to be? Is he going to be same old Ronnie, or is he Rusty Ron going to make a comeback, as he likes to call himself? I mean, that break-off was a little bit rusty. Let's see where the cue ball's going to finish. Wow, is he going to get the cover on the brown? The answer is no. It's a little bit of a cheap mistake that from Ronnie O'Sullivan straight away off the break-off, and that will allow John Higgins to certainly get himself back within you know, a really good opportunity. Points without reply, 241. And if you combine those with points from the first frame, of course, it's going to be a very much 327 points without reply. So then, what's he going to be here? Can Higgins try and take this right into the middle? He should be doing those shots for fun. He has done it, but a bit of a bad kiss on the cue ball and the other couple of reds. And he's going to be absolutely nowhere when it comes to those colours. And yeah, it'll certainly be down to a decent opportunity, not really utilised there by Higgins. And clearly has scored the brown ball. So just try and bounce that one away, or just try and roll the cue ball in behind of the brown here. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that's certainly the case. It's just a single point there to be scored by John Higgins. And he gives the turn back to Ronnie O'Sullivan here. He's going to have a look at the right-hand side of the table. By the way, only an hour and 5 minutes of the pure playing time, and the first 4 frames have already been completed, which just tells you that it's pretty much been 15 minutes on average per frame. And then that, of course, includes their super lengthy frame number 2, which has seen a bit of a struggle there for Ronnie to try and come back from 50 points down. The comeback was completed, and then, of course, that horrible miss in the pink was made, and that has allowed Higgins to step back and well, at least take one of those frames away from Ronnie. Safety success so far, 67% for Higgins, 62% for Ronnie. And he's now going to be very much trying to send the cue ball away and in behind the green. It's a decent effort. Let's see if the pace is going to be there as well. And the answer is not quite. So still, it seems like all those reds are going to be slightly in the way there in relation to the cue ball. So yeah, it'll probably be just down to a safety shot there to be played. Now Ronnie's just having a look to see on, you know, what is it going to matter for, and points scored 70 to 373. So it's not quite going to be points without reply, with, of course, Higgins getting that red into the left middle, but it doesn't seem like he got him anywhere nearer to be sort of trying to win the 5th frame away, which he needs to, because the last thing that you want to allow Ronnie to be doing after the first 5 frames is to sort of see him take a 4-1 of a lead. But that's a horrible shot that he's taken. I don't know what happened there. Seems like the cue ball sort of caught 2 reds instead of 1. And he's really fortunate that it doesn't seem like he's left anything easy away to Higgins. He's still left a red that he can potentially try and take with a very thin cut whilst playing the cue ball. to be heading for the ball cushion. So let's see if Ronnie will make appearance to the table straight away, or is it going to be another point scored there by John? And the answer is the red is going to be close, but he won't be close enough. He has sort of gone onto the side cushion as well, so Ronnie won't be able to get through to that red. So once again, it is going to be back to the 7-time world champion. And just having a look to see if he's got a chance to try and take the red towards the left side cushion. Has he managed to cover up that red with the yellow? No, he hasn't. Or has he? No, he hasn't. So that red is now going to be available to Higgins. Although Ronnie got a really good contact on the cue ball in relation to how close it is now going to be to the, what's it called? To the ball cushion. So he's now got a really good chance to try and take the red away into the left corner. Make sure that he sort of plays that cue ball around the black to make sure that he's going to have a decent opportunity to try and sort of play that shot around the black. Make sure he's still got the cover in relation to the other couple of reds, which he shouldn't really be too keen on leaving on for Ronnie in case he misses a red, which is possible. As I say, the angle of the red is going to be slightly against the cue ball, therefore slightly against John Higgins and the way that he needs to play this shot, but he's about to do it. He asked the cue ball to be cleaned beforehand, and the line seems to be good. The execution seems to be better, and the shot on the black is going to be even easier for him. So that was 3 steps there for Higgins to do. Make sure that he cues that one well in terms of the line for the reds, the pace of the cue ball, and the position of the black. All 3 of those things have certainly been ticked off, and it is now going to be, once again, a chance here for John to try and score some points here. You know, it's going to be the 4th highest break automatically if he manages to take a red with a black, which will be a starting point for him. But ultimately, you do have to say, don't really understand where the next red is going to come from, and still don't understand it. I mean, with the line that he's taking there, with his own eyes, he seems like he was trying to open up the cue ball to be slightly further away from the side cushion, and it seems like to me he's played that shot perfectly well, because there was very little distance and a margin for error for him to commit to that red, and yeah, he still played that one really, really well. Now the cue ball is about to find his way wandering towards the red to be taken here into the corner. So then loads of backspin needed. Ideally, he wants to try and get the other red out of the way, and surprisingly to me, he didn't want to take a risk there, but he's played a really good shot on the blue. Had he been on the top side of it, I thought he was going to be on the top side of it, but at the end, the cue will just slow down a little bit too much at the end, and, you know, will be a potential opportunity here for John to try and go for the green here. But the problem is, he doesn't really have too much of the angle on the green anyway. He'll have the part of the table in relation to he's going to be playing that cube on the left side, which is going to be nice to him because he's got a red to be taken into the right part of the table. But yeah, it seems like the cue is going to be, I was just about to say nowhere near, but maybe the red on the left-hand side of the pink will go into the corner, and that, of course, makes it a brilliant shot that Higgins has played. So then 13 points that he scores, 12 points at the current visit to the table, carefully trying to take that red away, make sure that he still gets the position on the black. And this is exactly what we expect to see from John Higgins. Great consistency on those shots and a fantastic ability to try and get himself out of the difficult situation. As you can see, highest break of 20 points, and he's got 3 breaks of 13 that he's achieved. About to try and divide it down to 2 breaks of 13 and 2 breaks of 20 points as well. So which one is he going to be? He's got a great chance to try and send the cue ball into those reds from the black. Of course, doesn't want to be doing that right now since he has got a red available anyway to the right corner. And in his position, especially with him struggling to try and find some any of those points really to be scored, he needs to try and make sure he takes all the loose reds out first. And then when he gets himself presented with the opportunity to try and bring more of those reds to be into play, he certainly should be taking it, as he takes the highest break of the match for himself of 21 points and counting. Yeah, he's got 2 options here, and the easiest one probably is going to try and play this shot with loads of backspin through the right side cushion, bounce that cue ball for the red to be taken into the left corner, but he's not really going to have too many of those, you know, free shots like that, although the red that he's about to take will free up another red to be taken into the corner. as he now makes the break of 28 points, taking the black. And yeah, just making sure that he rolls for the black one more time. He's going to have a red under the black ball cushion, which, you know, I'm not sure if he wants to play right now. And there's your answer, with him being slightly lower than the being straight on the black. He's clearly got that red in mind that I mentioned, that he's going to be unblocked now into the corner. And of course, if you take that red and you're not going to be perfectly straight on it, you could easily bring a couple more of those reds to be into play. You see exactly what Higgins is looking at to make sure that he's not going to be straight on it, but he allows himself to have a little bit of the angle on that red so that he potentially can free up to 3 of those in total. So just having a bit of a look to see on what that black he's going to deliver to him. So right now, 30 points is the advantage here for John. And let's see what's he going to be here. If he just tries to plan that cue ball into the zone where the BBC have highlighted. They've done that really well in the previous match that I was watching. I can't sure. Maybe it was Salgadon against Sean Murphy. But they managed to predict a shot out of nothing. And if it's going to be a chance to try and take the Reds into the right corner, it seems like it's underplayed for that one slightly. But once again, it will be down to just having a decent opportunity to try and take the red away into the right corner and make sure he gets... Oh, he got that one horribly wrong. Don't know what happened there with Higgins. And is he going to put the red over the middle? He will. Can Ronnie see that red? I don't feel like he can. So, you know, Higgins is going to get away with that one. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, he caught the wrong red first. I mean, he was trying to find an angle, but it seemed like he was playing with that one too much. And he left himself with, pretty much no chance to try and see enough of the red that he was taking. And now, Ronnie gets himself through to the safety battle, although still... As soon as he takes the first shot, it seems like he's played that with way too much power, placing the cue ball perfectly onto the bulk line. But ultimately, a couple of those options are going to be there for Higgins. Whether he wants to take them or not, it's going to be down to him. Of course, he's made the break of 36 points. He's not going to be so scared of trying to take those reds on right now. And something that you probably should try and do, as much as it is against Ronnie, and it is a lot better for you not to miss a red like that and leave an easy chance away. We'll have to wait and see on what's going to happen. He's gone for that red. He's missed it. Let's see where that red is going to finish. It seems like it's going to run safe, or is it? The cue ball is going to follow that red. And that's about as awkward as a placement that you can possibly imagine there. But it's still right next to the cue ball. So can Ronnie try and go for this red into the yellow pocket? Well, the answer is he will. But whether he'll be able to pot that one or not is going to be down to another factor. Let's have a look, by the way, how the other match is doing. 12-9 already. One of those frames has been won there by Williams. And it will be down to making sure that it is a brilliant shot there once again from Ronnie O'Sullivan as he takes the red away into the left corner of the table, of course, being the yellow pocket as well. Now, he's only going to be 36 points behind and getting himself through to a chance to try and take the blue into the left middle. So being only 36 points behind, should be a decent opportunity there to try and go for the blue into the left middle. And plays that cue ball perfectly well. Look at that on a string there for him. Overrun slightly, but once again, because of him having such a great variety of those reds, he's going to have a couple of options to sort of come to his mind. Taking a careful red. Position on the black is going to be there. Probably going to ask the referee to clean the white right now. And the applause are going to be erupting on the other table. So it's going to be very interesting to see on what's going to happen on on the table of Mark Williams and Barry Hawkins. So now we're just having a look to see and what the picture is going to be there. And the picture is that Williams still has got a decent opportunity to try and take that frame away. But right now it is Ronnie O'Sullivan that seems to be dominating the show as he takes another red into the corner and plays that one really well into the heart of the pocket. So he's still got a decent opportunity to try and make it a very one-sided session and make sure that Higgins will find himself to be the one which has got pretty much no chance to try and return until Ronnie's basically going to be out of steam and just a little bit bored there. So just basically allow him 23 there on the break of Ronnie O'Sullivan to allow him back into the game. Tournament pot success, as you can see so far, especially if you talk about the players that have played the second round. Weezer still had not played a single frame against Mark Selby. That'll be up and running in the first thing in the morning. But 92.2 still doesn't sound as good as 94. Yeah, perfectly 94.0 from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view. And he's now on 31 points. And as I said, that raid that Higgins has missed, it was always going to be nicer for him not to miss it. But of course, if you're not confident with those type of shots, you shouldn't really go for them because the position wasn't anywhere near to be safe. And, you know, if anything, after that shot was played, he felt like the only raid that was actually safe was the one that Ronnie was playing, which was, of course, the one that Higgins has missed into the corner. And, well, listen, it's 3 minutes later, and then Ronnie finds himself 2 points clear and rolling that black nicely into the corner. So now having a gap of 9 points. There's the advantage in comparison to John Higgins. So is he going to have the ability to try and play this red into the right corner? Make sure he's got a good opportunity to roll that one in, rattled in the jaws, but in the end found a destination, which was the most important thing for him. And now about to try and play with the shot to be taken into the black once again. He needs to try and find himself playing the shot with great pace behind it as well. Seems like he doesn't really have that behind him. And just having a bit of a look to see what's going to happen in relation to the other raid for him to be taken. So he's still trying to play for that raid onto the side cushion, but at the end point, could have easily been a different case scenario here because he could have been closer to this raid and left him with a better chance to try and take this one to go all the way. For now, it will be close, but is he going to make it past the pocket? Yes, he will. Now, still, the frame is not quite over just yet because he needs the black to be taken. Then he needs the red to be taken on the left side cushion, which still requires him pretty much perfect queuing to try and get to that stage, as Mark Williams has to go back to his seat, as despite him having 25 points of a lead over 1 in Barry Hawkins, it is going to be Barry that comes back to the table. And remember, at some stage, one break for Barry could be enough to make sure that will be not 1 but 2 of the class of 92 to be eliminated off the second round. For now, it's Ronnie that tries to play the black into the corner. Remember, he's gone for that shot beforehand. He was on the black as well, but he's sort of committed to try and go for a long raid. This time, he's going to be slightly closer to it. But, of course, last time around, he's managed to take that red away really nicely. Can he try and do it now? It's basically, barring the collar, going to be a frame ball. And look at that. The way that he skewed that red is absolutely brilliant for him. And he's going to have a really good opportunity to try and extend his lead now to 4 frames to 1. And make sure that he'll leave no chance for Higgins to be leading after the first session. It will be 4-0 at best. But for now, it doesn't seem like he'll be anywhere near as that. Because right now, once again, despite 2 frames that we've seen from Ronnie O'Sullivan, where he wasn't dominating from start to finish, and he still is able to win at least one of them, as he now positions himself to try and take the green away, tries to bring the brown into the play as well, and it's now a break of 73 points. He can't quite make it, unfortunately, the break of 100 points plus, but still 95, if he makes a total clearance, won't sound too bad either. And look at that position. The way that he came to the table after that miss from John Higgins, you just feel like there was no chance that he was going to be able to clear up. But that was no chance for someone ordinary. Certainly was loads of opportunities like that for Ronnie O'Sullivan, as he now takes it down to 88, as the pink is going to disappear. And making it all 80s for himself. Can he try and take it into at least one of those breaks to be a 90? And it will be a break of 95 points, where O'Sullivan manages to close off the frame emphatically in style. Higgins has got no response, and pretty much no one in their prime would have a response to something like this. It's a brilliant performance of Ronnie O'Sullivan, and it does bring you back slightly towards the 2022 season, where you feel like this may be the time. And it's only the second round, but if he manages to play like this, tell me someone that he will take to stop this winning machine. And for now, he certainly doesn't look too bad for Ronnie out there, because he's got such a good line. And, well, it's only going to get better for him at this stage. Well, certainly from the predictions point of view. If I have to wait and see if the reality is going to be the same. But for now, once again, he's had a couple of those frames where he had to be coming from behind. Now, can he try and be the one to be up ahead as well? Hawkins, meanwhile, he's got 1/20 of a chance of trying to win the frame number 22 and at last to close off this encounter with Williams still not being too close to him. It's now going to have a 1-point lead, 75 at the table. Hawkins, the former finalist here in 2013. Can he try and make it down to the last stage? He will be a great addition to him because he certainly didn't do that 2 years ago. So he's going to have a boost of at least 20,000 worth of ranking points. And a complete lineup where I'm pretty sure we didn't have either one of Mark Cullen. We didn't have Sean Murphy. We didn't have Barry Hawkins to be in the quarterfinals of 2024. Right now, it's a bad shot that he's played there. I mean, he's going to be disappointed with that because he had no right to make a mistake from that position. It may not even be nerves there just because he's played that particular shot. It was always going to be a risky thing for him to do. Anyway, we're going to be back now down to table 1 and a 4-1 lead for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Does it get any better than that? Well, he could do if Ronnie wins a couple more of those frames. For now, he's still looking to try and find himself in a comfortable position, which is going to be even more comfortable than a 4-1 lead. You know, as I say, of course, he's guaranteed now not to lose this session to John Higgins, which is a great start, especially for it to be the first session, especially for it to be played in the evening, which sometimes Ronnie says is past his bedtime. Now, can he try and cue this red into the corner? Oh, that was a little bit optimistic there from Ronnie. Let's see if he's managed to get away with that one. He will be close, especially with where the red is going to finish. But it seems like he's going to have to pay the price for this particular mistake. But the actual price, of course, will be determined by how well John Higgins is able to take this chance here. Because the problem is, he can't cue underneath the cue ball. And he needs to be doing that now. Otherwise, it's quite difficult for you to do anything here. I mean, it's such a nasty shot for you to be left with. And he's missed it. I mean, you could criticize him for it, but it's such a nasty shot to be left with because there's no point for you to just try and roll the red in because you'll have the cue ball to follow with an example. And especially when you're not playing too well, it will be down to just a mistake there like that. And it could easily be, well, a chance for now for Ronnie O'Sullivan to try and do something about it. Depending on what it will be. Of course, will determine the outcome of the frame here, or at least the starting point of it. And Ronnie for now just carefully trying to save the cue ball towards the left-hand side of the table. Make sure that red, which Higgins has missed, has gone all the way towards the green pocket. Of course, he won't be sort of available to Ronnie or John from that point of view. And yeah, it will be very much down to the situation which both of them find themselves with. Which is going to be pretty much a level playing field, unless Ronnie can try and, well, at least John can try and go for the red into the right corner. Ronnie O'Sullivan will win 13-7. It's not a bad prediction, but I would still say, you know, it's probably the scoreline. I would go for 13-9, to be fair, at the end point, just because I feel like it's going to be quite difficult to try and get away from John. But ultimately, listen, it could well be the case, especially if Ronnie manages to play as well as he has so far. With Barry right now, I'm just going to keep an eye on table number 2. Is he going to try and cue this red into the middle? And he's going to play a safety shot of the red to be sent off the right side cushion down the lower end of the table. Or is he going to try and play a double? Wow, he got a double in. But what's he going to be able to do with it? It's a 1-point scored. How is Barry doing? He's got that red in. Wow, this could be the match-winning shot for Barry Hawkins. This could be a shot which earns just a single point away to Ronnie. Let's see what he's going to try and do here. Because, I mean, surely he can't take the brown on, he can't take the blue on. And there's no way he's going to play for the green here either. And, well, in the end, he wasn't too far away from taking the green. But in the end, clearly didn't have too much of the intention to try and pot that green. Because of the cue ball to be planted perfectly at the top cushion of the table. So right now, it is only going to be 3 more shots there. And then Barry Hawkins will be the third man into the quarterfinals, and probably not the third man, which is unexpected, but certainly a really good performance for him, Mark Cullen and Sean Murphy, to be deservedly through to the round 3. And he's now ahead by 30 points. He only needs 2 more shots now, as he's on the red, and the black after that will follow up shortly. It's a bit of a bad shot from Higgins, which leaves the cue ball to be underneath the baulk line. but it doesn't leave too many of those reds available for Ronnie O'Sullivan to play. Now then, 31 points of a lead. The match ball for Barry Hawkins. He don't miss those. He's missed the consistency for a reason, and I tell you what, take a bow, because before this match had started, I've seen absolutely no chance for Barry to try and win this one. Right now, he won't be able to lose this particular match, because he's just got another red in, so that certainly feel like great win for Barry, and he's certainly going to try and up his chances of staying in the top 10, especially with someone like Salgadon already to be eliminated, and Mark Williams, of course, to be eliminated as well. Even though he wasn't through to the, to the quarter-final stage either, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it may have been, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't. As Ronnie there just tries to play carefully and safe towards the black ball cushion, just making sure that he doesn't leave anything easy away to Higgins. But listen, take a bow, Barry Hawkins. It has been a brilliant performance for him, and he deserves every single bit of praise as he goes for a fantastic round into the corner and just showing a little bit of exhibition for the fans. He has deserved this win. No more than Mark Williams. And well, I mean, look at that. He's just playing for fun there, showing an absolutely exceptional technique there, going for the brown and blue to have been one of the shootouts for the entire tournament there when it comes to the long shot. But in the end, it will be a handshake in between the players, and Mark Williams certainly will have plenty of good words to be said for Barry Hawkins, who is going to be through to the quarter-final stage. Come on, John. Yeah, we do want a little bit of a performance here from John as he leaves away a turn for Ronnie O'Sullivan, because you want to make sure, as much as I say, I'm on Team Ronnie, and I want this one to be as comfortable as possible. For now, it seems like John is not showing any real sign of any sort of resistance there, and it's a very one-sided traffic there from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view, as we're now just down to a single match to be played, as it only took, well, Barry Hawkins the second real attempt for him to be over the finish line. And this cue ball is going to be close. It's going to be very close to the yellow pocket, and it is going to be in the yellow pocket as well. I mean, I'm not going to say that was a risk, because that risk was pretty much down to zero. But John Higgins was playing a shot in that way. So sometimes you have to be ready for that particular outcome. Ronnie's not going to have anything easy available to him, so just gives the turn back to John Higgins straight away after he plays a decent safety shot and places that cue ball to be at the top hand side of the table. So yeah, he played that one absolutely perfectly in relation to the brown, blue, pink and black here. So yeah, he's going to have nothing easy here available for John. He's trying to go for the shot on the right hand side, but I'll tell you what, this one has to be caught very thin, otherwise he'll find himself in trouble. Can't go for a thick shot here, and that is well played straight away, because that was about as much as he could have got out of that shot. It's still a little bit pacey, and still he hasn't really made life too complicated for Ronnie. Although, I mean, if you can't see that red perfectly on the edge, down to the fourth lowest to the black ball cushion, you might have to try and play it off the second red, the one closest to the side cushion there on the right hand side, and he's done that. So still upping the numbers in terms of the safety play, making sure they're going to be accepted in the Mark Selby Academy if there was one, which I'm pretty sure there would be one, to be fair. But if they had to be playing, imagine 50-year-olds, 4-time and 7-time world champion turning up at the academy of the other 4-time world champion. That'll be some content for you. So Higgins is the one to try and properly separate the reds away from each other. Doesn't want to catch the brown, and he just about misses the contact point with it. Still plans the cue ball to be quite close towards the black ball, the ball cushion. And O'Sullivan is going to keep that 5 points of a lead for just one more shot there, and then needs to come up with a decent safety of his own. So just looking to try and, well, is he playing for two reds closer to the black? Just play one into the other, and look at that, brilliant. You could see that even before the cue ball was finished, there will be a really nice shot there. A little bit closer to the brown would have been even better, but it still doesn't leave anything sort of easy away to John Higgins, as he'll force him to try and take a proper thin cut on this red, which is going to be lined up with a straight line off. So just trying to take those into the main bunch of reds. Ooh, has he caught that one a bit too thick? He has. But because of a straight line shot, he's actually going to get away with this one. And he may have actually got himself a bit of a favour there, you know. because I can't see anything that Ronnie is going to have on the right-hand side of the table. So he's having a look at the long red, which I have to say, I mean, that will be down to what can he leave to John. He's having a look at that now. Seems like the risk may actually be worth taking on here. As much as I don't really fancy him to make this red in, I can't really see anything else that he can do. I mean, he's going to play a safety shot, which you may as well just take the red on, to be fair. Because that one could easily go wrong as well. So he is going to be taking this red on. Well, he needs some good queuing here. Let's see if he's going to get it. No, he won't. And let's see where the cue ball's going to finish. The red is going to be close to the left corner, by the way. He'll be very close to the left corner. And is he going to be too close? Well, it seems like he will be too close, but has he got the cover on the blue? It's difficult to say from this angle. And, well, Ronnie seems like he's just not really giving away too much there, but this is going to be a chance, of course. If Higgins is able to get through to this red, he's going to have a real chance. And, yeah, he can. So, the black is going to be there for him. And that long safety battle seems like going to be won by John Higgins here. So, once again, not for the first time in this match, and for the third time, I should say, he's going to get the first chance to try and well, make some serious points to be scored here. So asking the referee to clean the white straight away, just to make sure that he's not going to be struggling with anything out there. So for now, as I say, the first 5 frames haven't not really gone to plan for him, but you always got a chance to try and turn this one around with a performance like this. You know, if he's going to have an easy long red to be the opener, he's still got some reasonable reds to try and go with it after this black is about to disappear into the corner. So he doesn't miss those. And yeah, he's got a couple of reds, to say the least, to choose from. So this is going to be, how could it be watch along? Yeah, because you're watching along with me, unless you're not. And of course, he wouldn't be called a watch along if he was the live match, which he wouldn't be on social media. But, you know, you would just be saying match live. And that's going to be it. So, yeah, it's a really good chance now for Higgins to try and score some cheap points out of this break. You know, whether he's going to be able to try and get through this break entirely, well, it remains to be seen. But it seems like he's not going to struggle too much at the beginning. You know, just carefully going for the reds and the black combinations here. So just playing it carefully and playing it safe, which you can't really criticize him for. Let's see if, as he takes another red nicely into the corner. So positions the cue ball to be lined up for the black to be taken for one more time. And the problem is, I mean, like, he's had a couple of those reds to be taken really easily. What happens when he gets to the stage where it's going to struggle to try and make it past the sort of record of those easy reds there, if you want to say? He's going to try and go for them now. And is he going to be on the red? Yes, he will be. So that does seem like he's going to improve his position massively here, because as much as he still doesn't have so many of those reds available, he will be down to a really good opportunity here for him to go for this red into the middle that allow him to open up even more of a gap with sort of 30 or 40 points, whilst leaving sort of 80 points available at the table there. You know, he takes the blue. He's not going to be happy too much whilst being very straight on this blue here, because he's going to have a big cluster of 6 reds at the lower side of the table, alongside the 2 reds to be onto the black ball cushion as well. So right now, it does seem like it will be close here for Higgins in relation to, he's still going to need some really good shots there to be taken. And the first one is going to have to be the pink into the right corner. Let's see if he can try and cue this one well. And yeah, just make sure that he will be down to taking this pink into the corner without any complications there for himself. The crowd certainly enjoy that. And he's still going to have a red available to be taken into the right middle. Now Higgins just wanders around the table and has a look to see. And what's he going to be with the position of those 6 main reds there, if you want to call them that. He will probably still be needing a good chunk of them. But for now, take care of 2 more reds there with expensive colours. Make sure that you get yourself 40 points of a lead or something like that. And then he's going to be lined up nicely for just taking those 6 reds and down to just last 8 of those reds as well, which leaves you down with 83 points or something like that, 91. It's not too bad there for him at the start, though he would have liked to be on the other side of a blue, which potentially would have allowed him to try and take the cue ball into those reds here. And in fact, it's probably going to have to wait for another opportunity to come later on. Or is he going to try and do it now? Well, it seems like he's going to have to pay the price for it, because he's going to have, just as he was in the previous frame, 37 points. At that point, it was 2-0. This time, he's going to be 2-5 here in favour of John Higgins. But, I mean, he's going to struggle here big time to try and continue the break from here. And as much as it's 37 points that he scores, it's still going to be 99 at the table. So let's see what he's going to try and achieve here with this red. He's clearly going to try and play this one safe. The question is where he's going to send the cue ball. He doesn't want it too close to the yellow pocket, and he won't have that one too close to the yellow pocket. So in the end, it seems like he played that one really well. And now leaves Ronnie O'Sullivan to be thinking about what he should be doing at this stage. So 32 points is something that O'Sullivan is going to be capable of trying to come back from. But of course, it's difficult for me to say on what can Ronnie actually see right now. And he's taken that one with way too much of that red that he was playing for. So he hasn't left anything easy. But I do wonder if there is going to be a red that goes past the other part of the bunch into the corner. Because if it does, that will put Ronnie in the world of trouble. For now, it seems like Higgins will have to go for the red next to the green, which he probably should go for it, but I'm not sure if he would go for that one at this stage. Because, yeah, as I say, I'm not sure if he's even playing for it. There's a red right next on the trajectory line as well. So is he playing for this red? He is. And he's taken that one too. Let's see whether he's going to be on the blue. He will be on the blue, but he will be on the wrong side of it. So, I mean, it's one more red that's, to be fair, you take at this stage of a frame. But is he going to be tempted to take the pink on? I mean, he's got no chance to try and develop the reds from the blue. He's certainly got a great chance of trying to do that with the pink, but the pink is more difficult for you to pot. So this is not going to be an easy decision there to be made by John Higgins' point of view. So what's it going to be now for him? Can he try and make that cue ball to head straight for those reds without missing the pink? He's done that. Easy on the reds. Well, it's close, but to me, he is going to be on the reds. So is that the case? Seems to be the case because he's looking for it. Just having a look at the way that he needs to try and take the black away with a neck shot as well. This is going to be a real interesting test there to see what Higgins is going to be capable of. Well, he needs to go for a bit of a more of an awkward red. As much as he's still got plenty of pocket to aim at, he needs to make sure that this one does find the target, and he has. So played that one really well there, John, to be fair. And right now, it will be down to Ronnie O'Sullivan still looking to try and find some sort of momentum as he's looking to come back into the frame. Because for now, it will be a bit of a John Higgins story. And it will be very much a problem for him to come back from this position here. Because Higgins is going to now have 47 points of a lead, which we very rarely see to be overcome. Of course, it's only a break of 15 points out there. But it's still going to be a great addition to 37 points that he scored at the beginning of the frame. So now just having a look to see and if he's going to have a chance to try and play sort of on the wrong side of a ping there. And go for that red to be taken at the right corner of the table. So ultimately will be down to just putting that cue ball into a really good place where you can just about see through the pink. And you should have a decent opportunity for you to be lined up for the black to be taken. So right now, is this going to be the turning point here potentially for Higgins? Is he going to have a great chance to try and continue this streak into the next frame? Or is he going to be just one of those off frames? But Ronnie's going to come back stronger in the next one. But listen, Higgins had been knocking on the door for a couple of frames now. Certainly for the previous one where he only just about lost due to his inability to close out the frame. Of course, I say just about lost. He was down to 95 points that plays 37. Yeah, still a very comfortable lead in the end for Ronnie. And now he's just having a look to see. I mean, he wanted to try and make a bit more of a contact with those reds. And right now he's sort of put them in a straight line. He doesn't want to be lined up on the plant with those two. So let's see, he's not quite over the line yet. He will be if he gets this plant in though, because that will get it down to 64 points of a gap and 59 under the table. For now, we're just looking to try and make this plant into the corner. Still going to be possible for him to try and come back if that is not the case, but the plant is going to be comfortably in the pocket, and now it is going to be a break of 32 points, which still makes it only just about into the 30 zone for Higgins, but ultimately, and more importantly, he now finds himself in a position where he can really try and build on this performance in the frame, and you never quite know. If there is going to be a chance to present himself, then he'll certainly be very much the man to try and take it as well. As Ronnie O'Sullivan still finds himself sat in his seat. He's going to be still a very comfortable lead after the opening 6 frames, and you're never going to find yourself with a sort of situation where you're going to just play really well and then Higgins won't turn up with an answer, because he will. When in Zhao Ding's last session, he will be in the morning tomorrow. So in around, what is it now, 15 hours sort of time? Yeah, pretty much like that. 14 hours to be precise. 10 o'clock in the morning at the UK. And then we'll be down to the showdown and Team China to see on who's going to be the penultimate player to be standing in the, well, from China. We've had 11 of those. It will be down to just 2 of them at the end of that morning session with Jiaoxington against Ding Zhuwei. There is no, yeah, absolutely. You can watch the match on live TV, and if you're still looking for the free link, then go back to 2016, because that's the last time you're going to be able to try and do that. And just carefully making sure that you've got a red to be rolled up to the left corner. Reckon you'll be coming. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the thing about those sort of matches is that you've got 2 really good second round matches out there, where you've got Ding Zhuwei against Zhao Dington, and then you have got John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan. I'm pretty sure those 2 are a bit of an unmissable. It is a shame that Weeze and Mark Selby is going to be played at the same time, so you can't sort of make yourself to be stretching in between the 2 of them. But at the end point, yeah, he will just be down to Jiaoxington against Ding Zhuwei to be finished tomorrow, and then John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan will have the second session in the evening as well, before eventually, unless, and very unlikely, you know, you'll have to see an absolute hammering there from Ronnie's point of view, because it's already impossible for John to try and win this match in 2 sessions. But yeah, the finale of the match should come at the Monday at 1 o'clock. As for now, John is about to entertain the fans a little bit more, and well, I say a little bit more, he's going to miss the green at the end, so it's a nice break of 68 points, which is going to be by far the greatest that we've seen from him so far in his opening 6 frames. Now let's see if there is going to be a response to follow from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view, because for now, you certainly would expect Ronnie O'Sullivan to be taking a 4-2 of a lead and making sure that he is going to be able to win at least 1 more of those frames, and we're going to get the, what's it called, the separator of the 2 tables away, so that the fans on the second table can actually see what's happening at the table of John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan as well. Ultimately, you probably have to say it will be down to John Higgins to try and come back stronger here, but is he going to be the last frame to try and win it all for Ronnie O'Sullivan? Because he needs to be doing that quite desperately. But does he really find himself in a position where every single frame is going to be the one that you absolutely must win? Because that's the whole point of having the advantage. You know, you still find yourself in a pretty comfortable position. And even though you just lost a frame there, well, Higgins has been knocking on the door for a while. And just because he's managed to win this particular frame doesn't really mean that he'll be able to do that with all the remaining frames as well. So, yeah, he will be down to 2 more frames for us to be seen. 2 hours, 22 minutes later since the match has begun, so it's not too bad on the schedule. 6 frames to be played after, you know, just over 2 and a bit hours. It's now going to be Ronnie that comes back to the table first. John is going to be there to follow him as well, as we are ready to get the 7th frame to get back underway. Of course, this time around, it will be Ronnie O'Sullivan's break right now, and let's see if he's going to have the response that we've been looking for, because right now it's kind of a bit of a quiet campaign in that frame number 6 with no real opportunity to respond to the brilliance of John Higgins. that at times is impossible for you to stop, and that break of 68 points clearly proving that to be the case. Now it will be down to John Higgins once again. Can he try and go for the long range, which so far hasn't really been his strongest points of the match? So can he try and make this one to find the target? And make sure when he does strike, he's going to leave himself with, oh, that's a bit of a overhit there of a shot that he's played. So let's see. Yeah, he's certainly going to go and leave that cue beyond the bulk line. So if Ronnie's still got that queuing to be heading in the right direction, he's going to have a really good chance to try and get this frame very much on the way in his favour. Whether he's going to be able to do that or not, the position is still pretty much closed up there, but he's got a decent opportunity to try and make it opened up a little bit more. So now just having a look at the situation with the pink and the black. Last pot time is 20 minutes ago, which I'm pretty sure is going to be down to the 5th frame, because there was a scoreline to 0 for the first time in the match from John Higgins' point of view. We've seen 3 more of those from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view as well. And he's going to cue this one beautifully well to try and get himself lined up for the pink. So this is something that we haven't seen in the previous frame, and he's already managed to beat his previous score sheet of the frame number 6. So right now just having a look to see what is actually available to him in relation to the pink to be taken into the left-hand side of the table here. Because I feel like he doesn't want to lose the pink here, but he's got no other option than to go for the pink. And if it's not going to be respotted at the top end of the reds, then he's going to have to lose the pink for the foreseeable future of this break. So just trying to carefully stun the cue ball for that red to be taken into the right-hand side of the table here. And ultimately, he will be back down to Ronnie O'Sullivan trying to make sure he gets an early chance to be winning this 7th frame. And ultimately, as I say, it certainly wouldn't be a shock to anyone if he does do that. But for me, usually, you know, those struggles for Ronnie, they do come in phases. And if he's not going to be able to, you know, lose 2 frames in a bounce, especially with someone as consistent from Higgins, I would be quite surprised by that. Because you feel like he's always going to have an opportunity, Higgins, to try and build that momentum. And especially with him winning that frame to 0, I feel like that will put a little bit more of pressure on Ronnie, where there's different kind of pressure. But this time around, I genuinely feel like it will be down to Ronnie just making sure he gets himself through this opening phase of the frame. He gets a couple of those reds with blacks combinations, which is going to be the prime colour for him to go for, as he just played for it right now. As I say, he's lost the pink until pretty much the end of the frame. Whether he's going to be able to re-establish it later on or whether he needs it is going to be another matter as well. But for now, it does still seem like he will be a pretty close contention here, as he takes the black for the first time. He's going to be now up on 15 points. Can he try? I said he's going to lose the pink until the end of the frame. Can he try and make that one to be available here and into the open zone? Well, he's going to have to try and make a little bit of a contact with the other couple of reds. And, well, in the end, he didn't really want to do that at the end stage. And he's just going to try and take it the conservative route for now. Make sure he doesn't try and force it too much. And as long as he's got those reds and colours available, it's going to be enough for him. Still, the pot success, of course, hasn't really had a negative impact on him at the previous frame because of how well and consistent that John Higgins was playing. You know, he didn't really leave a chance away for Ronnie O'Sullivan at that stage, so it wasn't really down to Ronnie to try and play any better. It was down to Higgins just not leaving him a chance away. So once again, just having a look at the red to be taken into the left corner. He's playing on the second table, no one right now. It was a match in between Mark Williams and Barry Hawkins, and Barry has managed to win that one by 13 frames to 9, I'm pretty sure. Can't really, yeah, it was 13 frames to 9, wasn't it? Because, you know, there wasn't double digits on there. Williams' favour. The match is finished, yeah, so they've just managed to up the little separator. As Ronnie, once again, just doesn't seem like he's perfectly satisfied with what he's getting. He's still going to be a little bit too straight on the black, though, which you do have to ask the question of where the next red is going to come from. Or he's trying to absolutely power that cue ball into those reds. Is he going to be on one? The answer is, well, you may be, you know, because there's a red next to the pink, which you can try and take into the corner. He's managed to sort of get a couple of those reds to be away from the left-hand side of the table. So this is going to be a great chance now for Ronnie. If he's able to get past the sort of left-hand side of the table, he certainly managed to open up some of those reds available to him. That red is going to be closer to the pocket than it is to the pink. So if he takes the red into the corner, he's got a really nice opportunity to try and take that cube, although he didn't want to plant that one onto the side cushion. That won't be a nice shot for him to be taking the black into the right corner. You feel like he's still go for this black, but you know, he's got a couple of variables here in relation to what does he do in relation to the other black that he's got available. Is he going to try and play for this one into the corner, or is he going to be down to just making sure that he gets the black in and then leave himself a little bit awkwardly for red to be taken into the left middle? So then what's it going to be right now? Because Ronnie has got a bit of a problem with his tip, which is no surprise. You know, you have to tell me a frame where he doesn't have a problem like that. So then the black to be taken here into the right corner. That will get him a great chance of being victorious in this frame. Once again, seems like he's got a little bit of an issue with it. A bit sticking out. And yeah, he wouldn't quite be... I hope he's not changing the tip out there. Maybe just getting a little tool to try and make sure that he will be down to. Just doing a little bit of maintenance on it. He's got now more than a minute taking on this shot. So just having a look to see if he's going to be able to... Maybe there's a little bit of a string coming out of it. That is not probably going to be down to just disrupting him too much. But ultimately just, you know, may force him to be taking a different approach on this particular shot. Maybe try and play this one with a bit more power. Well, I'll tell you what, this doesn't look nice from a different camera angle. I'd be surprised if he gets the black in, to be fair, but he does. A really nice shot there from Ronnie, and he was always going to leave himself a little bit awkwardly placed for the red into the middle, but I'll tell you what, from this angle, it's a miracle to me that he's managed to get that black, and especially so comfortable into the you know, right-hand side of the pocket. Now we'll be down to taking the black into the left middle. Can he try and cue this one well? The answer is... no, he can't. Wow, this could be a very big moment, because I said he was going to leave himself awkwardly placed in that red, but I always fancied him to try and take that one away and sort of get himself out of jail with that shot. And in the end, he wasn't too far away, but the red just about bounced away from that middle pocket. And now Higgins can sense blood. You know, we've seen that with Zhao Xingtong when he was 4-2 down to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He managed to be leading 12 frames to 4. You know, after the end of the second session. And of course, Higgins has been left with a plant to be taken. And, well, someone that you do not want to be catching up to you is going to be John Higgins. He's taken that plant superbly well. And this is now shaping up really interesting out there. Because, you know, a couple of moments ago, it looked like Ronnie managed to get away with it big time. And for him still to be lined up nicely for taking the frame. Right now, Higgins probably becomes the favourite with how many reds he's got available to him. Although, he certainly would have liked to be seeing more pace injection on the reds, on the cue ball, I should say. I don't know what he's doing there. I mean, he's clearly disappointed with the way that he's run on that reds. He was taking the blue with the cue ball to be heading around the globe, but I mean, he's still on this red, but just about. And also, the angle that he's left himself up with may well leave that cue ball to be heading straight into the blue, which is not really going to be something that he's looking for. So what's it going to be right now? Can he try and take this red away into the corner? Or is he going to be forced to take a safety approach here? He can't take a safety approach right now because you have to go for it. And then if you miss it, you only have yourself to blame. But this one is still very much one of those shots which is difficult, but you have to be taking this one on. Especially against Ronnie. The red should be in. Where's the cue ball going to be, though? And he's going to be nowhere to be seen on the collar. So, once again, that was probably the most important and the most difficult part of that shot, because, you know, the red was always going to be looking at that middle, but he was trying to find your way into the collar, which would have been the more difficult part of that journey. Higgins right now is going to be forced to try and play a defensive shot instead. So, he was going to call the yellow ball. So 32 points behind. We've seen that before with Higgins, where he was the one leading the charge. right now it will be O'Sullivan actually finding himself ahead in the frame without being over the finish line, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the first time we've seen that in 6.5 frames. But yeah, it's still going to be a decent opportunity now for Ronnie to try and make sure that he is going to be victorious in that frame number 7, with the odds being in his favour. But the first real chance there for Higgins was, of course, very much with the first safety shot for him to play, and he's played that really well. Now we'll be down to just a couple of things for him to realise, and whether the left-hand side of the Reds closest to the right corner is going to be available to him, because if it's not, he's going to have to go for a really thin cut on the red, and he's gone for that. Well, it's going to be very risky for it, and he's actually gone for the attacking display, which may have actually worked out to be better, as long as the cue ball doesn't drop into the pocket, which it won't. So now the cue ball got a bit too much of a bounce, and depending on how much comfortable it is going to get for John Higgins here, maybe John wins the next frame in the match. Well, maybe he does, but at the same stage, it won't be quite as easy for him to do that. I'm pretty sure you will have to try and win at least 10 more frames after this one, and then, of course, he comes down to having to make sure that he takes this red as well. Let's see if he's going to go for it first of all, because there is a potential way for you to try and play a safety shot, and yeah, that's exactly what he's gone for. That red was risky in relation to if you miss it, you can easily go anywhere, because you're not really taking that close to the side cushion or anything. You're taking that one very much in the open play, and those type of reds are the ones where you usually are bound to leave them away and available for yourself. So now Ronnie's trying to test his luck now with the reds. He's going proper deep on the cue ball, which is never a good sign to see. And yeah, that was always coming, unfortunately. That miss was by a long margin. And has he got away with this one? To be fair, he got that cue ball to be running pretty nicely for him. But is he still going to leave a chance away? The red that he's missed has gone onto the top end of the table. But it seems like he's gone a little bit too high out there for Higgins to try and take advantage of it. So it still seems like John will have to try and settle for another chance. But yeah, it's certainly going to be anything but comfortable there for Ronnie and John. And yeah, of course, if John is not able to go for the reds into the left corner, which probably is going to be the only option for him, he certainly should try and use that red and roll the cue ball to being behind the green, which, I mean, he's done a decent job of. He's managed to cover up the right-hand side of the table pretty well. He hasn't done that with a sort of middle point or the left point at all. So that will be down to Ronnie trying to exploit that area again. Both of them can be unstoppable, but haven't been for a while. What happened to Luca? The world number 44 happened to Luca, because that will be down to him. Is Ronnie going to try and find the red into the corner? He certainly will, and that is why you can never leave a chance away to him, because if you do, you're going to have a great chance for him to try and take this frame away from you. And right now, it will be down to Ronnie to be taking a blistering red towards the left corner. And it was always going to be difficult for Higgins to try and play catch-up. Right now, it'll probably be impossible for Higgins to try and play catch-up, because it is Ronnie O'Sullivan that takes the first blood away. And let's see if he's going to try and take the yellow into the green pocket as well to try and finish off the frame. For now, the table's a little bit messy. It is, but like the thing about it, Ronnie only needs a couple of those reds. You know, to be fair, he only needs 3 of them. Take them with expensive colours. That will leave it down to 59, and I'm pretty sure it won't be a chance away for John Higgins to try and recover from that. Although you can't take the black into the corner, but you can do that with the pink. So yeah, of course, it was always going to be down to, if you leave a second chance away to Ronnie, he's always going to take it, and that's exactly what has happened right now, with Ronnie O'Sullivan taking, surely right now, a 5-2 over lead, with being a couple of shots away. He could have done with not having to bridge over the red here on the left-hand side of the table. Just having to carefully play the pink towards the right part of the table and make sure that he doesn't get stuck in behind the black here as well. So just carefully cue this one. Make sure that it's going to be a little bit more pace is fine. And yeah, he puts the black out of the game, which, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's probably a price that he was willing to pay just to make sure that he's not going to be compromised by too many of those. Now, having a look at the scoreboard, trying to work out how many more points does he need. So don't feel like he's got any reds at the top end of the table, although Higgins was playing for one of them. So that gives it down to 67 points at the table right now, and it is the case. So 67, he's got 43 points of a gap. If you try and play the pink into the left middle as well, you may leave yourself with a decent opportunity to try and play for the red into the corner, and just carefully place that cue ball to be lined up for the pink to be taken into the right hand side of the table. So once again, a little bit of backspin. Make sure that cue ball is going to keep running towards the pink. He forces himself with 50 points of a gap right now, and it will be down to one more red to be taken after this one, and that will be the frame ball here, of course, for Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's only a break of 18 points right now. About to be 24 with the pink. It's actually surprised me there, because I thought he was going to try and just give the cue ball a bit of a bounce on the black ball cushion, stay for the red next to the black ball spot, and just try and play that one into the corner. Whereas the red above the black pot, he pots into both of the pockets, but Ronnie clearly decided not to play for that one. So he's going to be able to go over the line with a frame without needing that red. So now the pressure is really going to be ramping up on Higgins to try and make sure he delivers that frame number 8 win. Otherwise, he'll find himself in a world of trouble and just trying to sort of recover from the problem of being 6-2 down. It's never a nice mission against Ronnie O'Sullivan, but it's really difficult to say. It's really difficult to call on who's going to be the winner of this particular frame. Let's see if John is going to try and play on here, because he's got 61 points that he finds himself behind off, and he doesn't see any point in doing that, especially with the black to be out of position. Good sportsmanship there by John, because he clearly didn't see any point to try and force that frame to be heading well into the midnight, as we're now approaching the 3-hour mark since the first session has got underway, and now the last frame of the session is about to begin, with Higgins needing this frame a lot more than Ronnie does right now, and he certainly needs to try and find a little bit of a rhythm there for himself. Unless that is the case, you'll find him with the world of trouble there next to his name. Who is this ref? It should be Marcel Edgar from Germany, which has refereed their match beforehand at the invitational event in China, Shanghai Masters. So certainly seems to be one of the best ones in the game. I'm pretty sure Ronnie had an argument with him before, but it's one of those things where Ronnie pretty much had an argument with any of the referees. You know, you think about that match with Stuart Bingham in the quarterfinals of the 2024 World Championship. He's about to try and defend those ranking points, by the way, because if he gets himself through to the 3rd round, he won't be losing any more of those, which is already seeing him to drop down to the world number 12. And yeah, still looking to try and keep his name into the top 16 for a while. So the reds and the pink, the colours are all going to be respotted, so it will be down to the final frame of the session, and it is 5-3 or 6-2. And it will be down to John Higgins to take a break off. So it is going to be the 8th and the final frame of the session. John Higgins has got the break-off shot, so let's see if he can try and go for a lot more like those breaks of 68, 37, 36 being the second and third biggest breaks so far for him. But ultimately, just make sure you win the frame, no matter how well or how dirty it is going to be for you. Just make sure you get there in the end, and if you do, you'll still put a real bit of pressure on Ronnie at the end of it. Because right now, Ronnie will feel like he can try and go for the kill and make sure that he's going to find himself being 6-2 clear, which basically puts him halfway into the quarterfinal. You know, certainly from a mathematical point of view. As he's looking for a red to be taken here into the corner. Can he try and cue this one well? And the answer is he can't. It was close, but he wasn't quite close enough, and he got proper fortunate there. I'm pretty sure it's not going to make a massive difference though, because of you know, the left-hand side being available, and John shouldn't have too much of a problem with trying to roll the cue ball towards those reds from the left-hand side of it. So just carefully play towards the reds and make sure you're not going to be too close to the lower end of it, which Higgins was sort of close to, but in the end it doesn't matter because he's not going to give anything away to Ronnie, apart from a straightforward safety shot to be played. And now this one should be down to Ronnie having a decent opportunity to try and build an early lead if he gets within a chance, because once again, those apart from that break in the frame number 6 from Higgins, we haven't really seen him taking a frame comfortably. Yes, that second frame was a bit of a different story, but apart from that, you have to say it has been a very much Ronnie O'Sullivan story to be written. And you probably have to say the same about the 8th frame as well, because purely from the maths perspective, you would probably say it is going to be down to Higgins to try and win this one, because, you know, technically, it probably is not going to be one of those matches where Ronnie's going to deserve that sort of 6-2 of a gap. But if you think about it, I mean, tell me that Higgins deserves 5-3 a lot more than Ronnie deserves a 6-2 of a lead of his own. I want a close math. It will be, but listen, it will be if Higgins wins this one, and then he's going to be able to have a decent start into the second session as well. For now, Ronnie, of course, will not really care about that. All he cares is about trying to win. Higgins has gone for a bit of a chance to try and take the red into the corner. But once again, like, I do want to see if Ronnie's going to be able to try and switch up this one away. Great commentary, mate. You should be on TV. I don't know how you can talk so much for social imperials. It could be interesting all the way through. Top channel. Thank you very much, Giant Panda. Appreciate that. And technically, you can't be on TV because you can get the YouTube to be on TV as well. But it's one of those things. But listen, it's never ordinary with matches with Ronnie because you've got a great investment with it in terms of the, you know, just actually trying to make sure that he goes all the way, especially at the World Championship. You don't really need to find extra motivation. And he just played a really good shot there, managing to cover up pretty much the entirety of the right-hand side. Don't think you like Ronnie that much, that is why talking about deserving or not. Don't know. Don't really care. As I say, for now, I don't really have anything to say about Ronnie. Don't really have anything positive, negative either. You know, he had a really good start to this match. He's managed to lose the frame, which was always going to be in favour of Higgins. The second frame was probably the only disappointing point about it. Apart from that, he's been flawless. And just sounded like, mate, top job. Thank you very much, Panda. So, yeah, as I say, he's had the breaks of 137, 95, 86, and 82. And you add all of those four, and then you can't technically not win a frame. So he's guaranteed to be winning 4 of those frames. Of course, he had one more frame win when he had the break of something like 60 points, where he was able to make it with a total clearance. No, that was 95, where he had 37, yeah. Whatever it was, you know, maybe it was actually the previous frame, to be fair, because he didn't really have too many of those breaks. All I'm saying, if he plays great, he deserves anything. Yeah, absolutely. Like, the thing is, if he plays well, he's going to be able to try and, you know, sort of destroy Higgins, especially if John doesn't play well himself. But the problem is, John is still going to be a real threat here, although he's just pushed the red over the corner. I mean, usually you would say it's a really good chance there for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Put so much energy into each other. Yeah, but listen, it's, as I say, energy is going to be restored when Ronnie's playing. So if he goes all the way there, it's certainly not going to be lacking those. But as I say, sometimes it's one of those, but right now it's absolutely fine because the match hasn't been that long and it's certainly been great entertainment. But listen, this is an interesting situation because if you talk about Higgins, it's not the first time that he put the red over the corner. That one was a little bit difficult. That was easier because he could try and easily play for the black. Right now, Ronnie is clearly going to just try and hammer the red away. And, well, let's see if he's managed to be on the black here. He's going to be close. The crowd is certainly applauding it because it's a brilliant effort. Well, I'll tell you what, this could be the absolute best shot that Ronnie has played so far in the entirety of the match. He's got so many reds to choose from. Yes, it's going to be difficult to try and get on the black for now. But he's got a really good chance to try and make that shot pay off. And to be fair, you have to give him credit for it because he wasn't like he was pure hidden hope. He analysed the position of that red. He realised that he can do whatever he wants with it as long as he hits it. He hits the cushion first. Yes, he got first in that case. You can't say anything else. But he's still on the black. And I tell you what, you'll absolutely take that in a heartbeat. So, you know, just down to the position that he finds himself with. Trying to take the red away into the left corner. And as I say, 6-2 is going to be the only fair scoreline after what we've seen from those 8 frames. Fine vocabulary, excellent commentary, boys. You go a long way, mate. Yeah, and talk about a foreigner as well, so thank you very much for that. But, yeah, listen, it's going to be an interesting position here because 14 points after the blue. Is he going to try and play for those reds straight away? That's what he has tried. I mean, he's not perfect, but he's not badly placed on them. And to be fair, if he does take it a proper second there, he may be able to bridge over all of those reds. Although that still leaves him with I mean, is he playing for the black here? And if so, which side of the black is he playing for? He got the red in, and he got around the black as well. It's another great shot there from Ronnie. As much as it may come across as underrated, he doesn't want to be straight on the black, though. Or he is straight on the black, you know, so what is he going to try and do here? Top spin off 2 cushions. He's got just about enough angle to make this one work out for him. He's trying to desperately find a way to try and play this shot with backspin, which you can understand why. You don't want to be too close to the jewels of the pocket there. So once again, just doesn't seem like he's too confident with this one. He's got the paint to be out of position. He's nowhere near the blue. And with so many reds to be so far away from the blue as well, he's going to have to try and do that with the black ball spot for now. So what's it going to be? Is he going to try and go for the black and sort of leave that cue ball to be alongside another red? That's what he's trying to go for. But he was always going to have loads of risks in relation to the other reds to be in the way of the cue ball now. And also, the red that he's left himself with needs to be played perfectly well. And when I say perfectly well, I'm surprised that he's left himself with that, because especially with how far the cue ball is, this is difficult. Wow, I've got no idea how he potted that. And I've got no idea why the audience, yeah, now they're giving him the applause. I mean, he had to play that into the front jaw. He used about as much of the backhand jaw as possible. I genuinely have got no clue how he made that one through, but he has. And at least he manages to try and clear up the black ball spot a little bit more. Only 2 more reds to be sort of preventing him from having the full control of the black ball spot. Although the fact that he had to go for the blue here doesn't really help his chances. Who needs to take the pace away from the red and just about rolls that one in. I mean, we haven't seen too many close calls, but if that red is going to be in the pocket, Higgins is going to be absolutely rubbing his hands. But for now, it's Ronnie that is at the wheel, and the Rocket certainly is looking to try and take off. He hasn't done so yet. 36 points is not quite a sort of frame winning break, but the fact that he's managed to clear up the black ball spot of too many of those reds, and he should have enough of a window to try and go for at least 3 more of those before having a huge split to the pack needed. And also at that stage, I feel like this pack is set up absolutely perfectly. He may even try and do it now. And no, he's trying to play for a different scenario, which is still worked out really well. Worked out a treat there for Ronnie, because he had 2 reds to be blocking each other. He's managed to push one of them towards the right middle, and he's going to be lined up perfectly on the other one towards the left corner. So 44 points of a lead, 99 at the table. He's about to take another red away into the left corner. And as I say, the fact that he's sort of making more and more reds to go away from the table, he frees up more and more room for himself. And I genuinely see it from him winning the frame without needing to sort of go into the pack at all, because you can see that he's taking those reds away, although he's just put one of them to be slightly too close to the pack, which may be out of his plan. Rocket speaking up the end of the match. Well, listen, it's trying to do that for now with the first session, but as I say, don't count your chickens until he's over the line. We certainly should have learned that with Zhao Ziton and Ding Zhuwei. Well, we've seen a frame ball to be missed a couple of times. We've seen that with Highfield as well. And every single time it seems to happen at the Crucible, you always get punished for those mistakes. Even though it's still going for a 1-4-3, you could still... Wow. I mean, once again, you could see a bit of a facial reaction there from Ronnie. I mean, he wasn't happy with that one, and he shouldn't be, because that red, not for the first time in the frame, has wobbled into the pocket. And it's a little bit surprised that he's trying to play for the reds onto the black ball cushion. Doesn't really need to be doing that on a frame ball. So then just this one to be taking it away. And he's done that in style. Well, that red was certainly the most important of them all in relation to that frame ball meaning. So now the black to make sure Higgins won't be coming back to the table. And at the end, count him off at your own expense. Higgins won't be coming back to the table. And, well, surely he won't be coming back to the table. He's having a look at the scoreboard now. Ronnie seems to have run himself out of position. But surely there's not going to be any point for John to be coming back here. It's been a great showdown so far, but Ronnie seems like he's came here to play. And yeah, just looking to try and play a decent safety shot away. The break of 76 points, which won't even get in the top 4. It would have been the highest break that Higgins has achieved the entire match there. But right now, it will be down to Ronnie playing this cue ball away from the red. And surely that will be a handshake. As long as it's not a foul shot. Oh, it's not happy with this one. I mean, if he puts the cue ball safe, it might be frame conceded there, but it's a bit of a different story now that he's left easy reds away to Higgins. It may actually be worth it to try and do something about this one. So, yeah, if he goes for that red into the middle, you know, he's still 11 points down. Yeah, he needs to be taking this one with a black. If he takes it with the blue, he may as well just concede right now, and he's taking that cue ball to be a little bit too close to the cushion in relation to the side there. Yeah, that's going to be anything but a nice position on the black here. No surrender as always for Higgins. Yeah, a little bit surprised that he was not doing that in the previous frame. Clearly thought that he was going to be the one to be getting the chance, or at least trying to make it a long safety battle, which has worked out a treat for him in frame number 6 and 2 to the extent, because these two have been the only 2 frames where he sort of had an early lead out there. It's a good black that he's taken, to be fair. Of course, it's going to be a little bit too late, it would seem, but potentially a foul of 4 points and a free ball on the red could be up to 12 points that he can bring to you, and that's exactly what Higgins is looking for. So you never quite know. We've seen that happen before, and as I say, sometimes even when you miss a frame ball like Zhao Xingtong has done on numerous occasions against Ding and Highfield, seems to have been punished for him. Right now, Higgins is going to be looking for a potential way out of this particular frame, and even though the percentage is going to be against him, you know, it's percentage against John Higgins, or it could be very much John Higgins against the percentage out there, because it's a bad shot that he's played. He's just taking the black here, but he needs to play this shot with so much backspin. Of course, if he plays for the pink, he changes the momentum entirely, because the best that he can do of a single foul shot, and even if he gets a free ball and gets it with the black, he's taking with the blue as well. Well, that forces... I was just about to say he can only do a respot. Now he can't do a respot. He can only do it off 2 foul shots, whatever happens, unless, of course, he's going to be taking it to ridiculous points and Ronnie O'Sullivan catches the pink or the black and then still gives away a free ball or something. English guy didn't get the no surrender reference. He didn't, because he's not from England. Breaking news. I mean, if he was English, he probably would get it, but because he's not, then he doesn't get it. That's the way the life goes, and it's a really good shot there from Higgins, by the way, because it seems like he's managed to pick out his target there off a red next to the pink to be taken. And yeah, if he's going to try and get that cue ball to be right in behind the pink, he can still make it a proper difficult journey there for Ronnie. And yeah, well, this is going to be the shot where he can go right or can go wrong out there. And I feel so sorry for John and wish people just give Ronnie the 500,000 and the trophy this evening, as it's obvious and predictable he's winning the 8th world title. Never say that, because he hasn't even won this frame, let alone talk about winning the entire world championship. Listen, everyone was saying that in 23, everyone was saying that in 24. So many people have been knocked out. By the way, it's a fantastic snooker there Higgins has got. So Ronnie just needs to make sure, of course, we're here for fair play. So make sure that you do have a genuine attempt to hit the red, but also make sure you don't do anything silly. So that attempt has to be without the second cushion. Oh, he's trying to do that with 2 cushions there to me. Oh, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, he's trying to play that with 2 cushions. I mean, that was a genuine attempt, to be fair. And he didn't get too close to it, but to be fair, he was compromised massively by the pink. So right now, it's 4 points to be given away to Higgins. Is that going to get nervous? It is already getting nervous to me, to be fair. Not threat, not surrender. Yeah, exactly. For now, it's a decent shot there from Higgins. Is he going to get the cover? Oh, it seems like he's just about going to come short on this one. And of course, when you have got your opponent on the ropes, well, let's see if Ronnie can hit this red first, and then I can tell you what I'm going to say. Yeah, he had a little bit of a swerve there, but he's actually going to be able to potentially get that cue ball close to the yellow. And does he have cover? It doesn't seem like it does, but he certainly played a good shot there. Of course, the problem for Higgins, when you have your opponent on the ropes, it's always difficult for them to try and do something about it, because all they try and do is get out of a snooker. The second that you let them off the hook like that, you sort of lose that advantage of having that first shot to be played in behind the pink. And for you to get 4 points out of it, you still need a high value of a free ball. It's a decent effort again by Higgins. And, well, it's a really good effort that by Higgins again, because, I mean, good luck trying to swerve around the paint with so much of the angle. Ronnie surely will have to try and go with 2-cushion escape. This one is not quite as simple as it could have been. But yeah, you still feel like he's got a great area of the table to try and aim towards. And also, if he plays it like that, it's unlikely, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but he's unlikely to give away a free ball. But once again, it's really encouraging for Higgins that he's managed to get Ronnie on the ropes here once again. So then, how's the line? The line seems to be good. The line seems to be really good out there. And he's not going to be giving points for nothing. And if anything, it's not going to give the position for nothing at all, because it's about as good of a safety as he could have played out there. And of course, you know, getting that contact with the red certainly does help the case as well. So then 42 points is the difference. He needs 2 foul points. So is that correct? Yeah, he needs 2 foul shots. Great escape. Yeah, brilliant escape there from Ronnie. He doesn't want a double kiss there on Higgins. Oh, has he got fortunate with it? It seems like he has. I'm not sure if Ronnie's going to be able to try and see the edge of the red, which is all he needs, but the yellow is now in a problem position, which is not really going to be a great help to John Higgins either. Has he got the contact on the red? Yes, he does. Once again, is he going to have a chance to try and play this shot in behind the blue? And it does seem like he is, you know, being put under real pressure there by John, but once again, it's because he's going to be down to the last frame. That yellow is going to be a real problem for John as well, because even though, you know, he needs that red to be taken with the black provisionally, because it depends on what he's going to be able to do with this red. Can Ronnie win this frame? Well, he should win this frame. Whether he's going to be, oh, that's a, well, has he got the snooker again on the double kiss? No, he hasn't. So right now, Ronnie, the perfect timing there, Daz, because he's about to put a red away and make sure that there's not going to be any more snooker escapes there for John Higgins. And he will be down to just carefully taking that red into the left corner. John Higgins had his chances. This is the last session of the night. Absolutely. It will be the last frame. And then we'll be back 7 p.m. tomorrow to see the continuation. And it will be down to John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan to be doing the handshake. And there's nothing but respect in between those two great legends. It is 6 frames to 2. It is 600, plays 200 points there to be scored. And it's probably the only right scoreline after the opening 8 frames. Ronnie seems like he's here to play. And he certainly seems like he's got some great methods of Rocky there working out for him, whether he's been to the gym, whether he's been running, but he certainly seems like he's in the mood and potentially can try and make it through to another consecutive quarter-final appearance. As very quickly on the stats there, 624 plays 252 points, ball spotted 171 for Ronnie, 68 for John Higgins, pot success is 93% for Ronnie, 88 for John, 50% of a long pot success for each of the players, 70% of a safety success for Ronnie, 67% for Higgins, and then of course highest break achieved in that 4 frame incredibly well by 137 points by Ronnie, and that break of 68 points so far is going to be the best of John Higgins so far. But listen, it's the only match so far that we had in the second round to have finished with 6 frames to 2, apart from, of course, Sean Murphy against Sal Godon, and we all know how that match finished. Murphy progressing through to the third round whilst having a session to spare as well. We're going to have to wait and see if Ronnie O'Sullivan is going to be able to kill up this pace, and it's not long to wait. 24 hours. Feel free to be back at 7 p.m. tomorrow as well. And in the meantime, in the morning, we're about to have the resolution to Ding Junhui against Zhao Xington. That match is going to be an absolute cracker. Feel free to tune in for that one as well. Thank you for everyone that has stuck with us on the stream. Feel free to be back tomorrow. We're still going to have 2 more matches to be played. The next session of Ding match is going to be 10 a.m. at the UK time tomorrow in Sheffield, and then Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins is going to be 7 p.m. in the evening as well. And many thanks, Letitia, for your contribution in the chat as a moderator. Feel free to do a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel on your way out. Once again, thank you for everyone that's been watching, and see you soon. And Ding Junhui against Zhao Xington, about to be resolved to see who's going to play Sean Murphy in the quarterfinals. Speak to you soon. See you later.
I am conflicted, watching where I step still.